And we're back for another mind map live session. I know it's been a while and it's kind of impromptu, so I do apologize for the short notice. But I did want to try to squeeze one in this weekend if it was going to be possible. I just didn't know if it was going to be for sure. So here we are. Hope everybody's enjoying the weather so far. It's becoming springtime in most places where seasons happen. So that's been nice. That's been a nice change of pace. Finally getting nicer weather. More sunshine. One second. I don't know if the chat thing's working. It's been so long since I had the thing going that I'm going to re-log in probably to the stream thing. Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes it takes a minute to kick in though too. Hey Veronica. The more you know, DevG. Welcome guys. Good to see ya. Just one sec. Let me refresh this here. Yeah, it's been a long while. It's been like a month, I think, since the last one, but I've been like so deep in these rabbit holes and trying to get things caught up, and I gotta do an update for the Hollywood's Hidden Curriculum soon too. That was supposed to be right around now, getting that wrapped up, but obviously I couldn't predict the Riner stuff happening and everything kicking off in December, so that's changed things a little bit, but I do still want to try to have it out before the summertime, so at least spring is a month or two before we go to the summer. But what a time, what a year it's been, guys. Like, holy shit, seems like there's just been new developments all the time. Like every other day there's something new, crazy stuff happening, and that happens to connect to other stuff, so that's been pretty interesting as well. And I guess apparently Nick Riner is working on a book, a tell-all book, which I don't know if that's for sure and exactly what that means. Apparently, like, he's not by law, he's not able to make any money off of any proceeds of media made from a crime, about a crime. But if he's doing it, if he's writing it about his upbringing and his family, and what he knows, then that's a different thing. That's a whole different thing. So I think that's allowed. And I guess the only thing would be that he wouldn't be able to profit from it, that it would end up having to go to the victims of that crime. But I mean, I don't think he'd be in it to want to make money from it anyways. I think he's wanting to speak his piece, and I think that shows too that he's like together enough mentally, that, you know, he's got the wherewithal to speak his own piece and you know, tell his point of view, I guess, from everything leading up to that crime, if not about the crime itself. So that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I can't say you can confirm that that's really happening or not. You know, people will report on stuff, and who knows how like how trustworthy the sources are. You know, we've got two different camps, it seems like, about that. Like, some people, well, most people are very against Nick and just think he's trash or whatever, and are very upset about Riner and his wife. And obviously it is tragic, and it's not a great thing. There's nothing good about it. But they're making him out to be like this maniac, this murderous maniac, and I think we know that there's a lot more to it than that. So that'll be interesting to see if he does end up being able to speak his mind on that, whether he'll be able to in court or not. That's something that, you know, we weren't sure if that was going to even be a possibility with where he was mentally. But I think that shows that there's at least enough cognitive abilities that there might be more to the story, and we're going to find out. So that's something to keep an eye out for sure. Cupcake Explosion, good to see ya. DJ Cam Wow, David James, welcome. That's a New York law, yeah. Well, I guess it just depends too, like on the jurisdiction. There's different laws in different jurisdictions, and it is sort of like a an exceptional case, I guess you could say. There's like, it's not your average crime. It's not, you don't see that kind of thing happen every day, right? So, who knows? And I mean, he hasn't been convicted of any crime just yet, and who knows even what's gonna come of that, and how long that's gonna take. So, whether or not there's a window of opportunity in between that, I don't know. But I think, yeah, like, I think we all deserve to know a bit more about what happened and why, considering it is such a extreme crime. And for what we know so far with it, with the party having been at Conan's that night before, and with everything that I've already kind of been connecting, and where he's been popping up, and just the way some of these other crimes and situations going on, how it's all linking together, like the Victoria Jones, the Catherine Short, and then just some of this other stuff happening, the Buzzfield. The way it all is intertwining is quite compelling, for sure. So, obviously there's a story to be told. Obviously there's more to it than what we're being told, because who really friggin' knows, aside from who was there? And who's to say that he even was guilty of the crime? Who's to say he was even there? They had said that at the hotel, when he showed up at the hotel. One second. Oh, that's not the one. I'm going to bring up the thing here. One sec. When he showed up at the hotel to check in, that he didn't have any blood on him. There was nothing, like, they didn't notice anything, but that in the room there was blood. So to me, that sort of indicated more so that it was more likely that he had self-harmed rather than had shown up and with all bloody clothes, because otherwise they probably would have noticed that when he was checking in, right? So, I don't know. And then they kind of were going by the word of Romy, the sister Romy, and her roommate. Like, they had found the parents, and they kind of just went ahead with the Nick scenario, that he would be the only one that she figured would commit that kind of crime. So they went in on him, arrested him, obviously found him bloody and all this stuff. He's in jail. It's a whole thing. But who really knows? I think we do deserve to hear more about it. I mean, if this is just this big tragedy, and this guy was so, revered, or such a revered filmmaker, and everybody's so sad about this loss, and maybe, if there was more to it, maybe we need to know the truth behind it, because maybe he wasn't somebody to be so revered. Maybe there was a lot more going on there. And as we've been picking it apart, as far as their inner circle goes, and yeah, it's just been interesting, I guess. It's kind of been like a domino effect, how things are falling into place with it. But yeah, so I don't know, today I kind of figured, like, it's just been so long, and I kind of wanted to catch up with you guys, come up for air. I have been meaning to do a little bit of a dive on the Home Improvement, Zachary Ty Bryant situation. Tim Allen's kind of been a little bit weird lately. And then Jonathan Taylor Thomas, obviously, if you guys remember, he kind of had dropped off for a while. And that was very shortly after he was in that Tom and Huck movie with Brad Renfro, who's no longer with us. And then as well, this young man, Blake Heron, was in that movie, and he also is no longer with us. So that was, I don't know, just another thing I kind of wanted to dig into, because with Zachary Ty Bryant, he's now got served, he's got two separate sentences in two separate places right now. He was sentenced to 16 months in prison a few months ago in one place, and then just a week or two ago, maybe a little longer now. It's been hard to keep track of the time with, with everything going on, or the timeline. But then he was served another 19-month sentence for other similar crimes. But really, I think the main thing is, obviously, he's been going through it. He's been struggling with, obviously, the legal issues stemming from his self-medication. There was also some domestic issues happening over the years. He's been arrested, I guess, like several times over the past 5 years. And I think at this point, with how we see a lot of these patterns and with some of the connections, we know that Victoria Jones, Tommy Lee Jones, and with her connections to the Riner thing, that she too had a lot of struggles with the law and with some domestic violence situations and with self-medication in that last year before her passing. But apparently he'd been trying to, the dad, Tommy Lee or whatever, the family was trying to get her into a conservatorship. And it kind of seemed like there were situations being set up more so to provoke in that case. So there was a lot of back and forth with that, a lot of weird stuff happening before she had reportedly accidentally overdosed. Very shortly after the Nick thing, and then obviously there was those connections there. So as we're seeing a lot of these different situations happening, and as we're reviewing past situations of, with like the Amanda Bynes, Britney Spears, Justin Bieber, all these people, when they're having struggles with self-medication and with the law and having run-ins with the paparazzi and so on and so forth. Now looking back, we know there was a lot more going on behind the scenes that, they didn't want us to know about. That was sort of the hush-hush, the things that the shush symbolism is what they're referring to, when people are that hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, or whatever, right? So as I've been digging more, though, and as we're picking up on a lot more of these, the red dots, the intentional red dots as well. Like, I don't know if you guys, if you've been keeping up with the mind map streams before, we did switch it over where these ones are accidental situations and accidental overdose, and the ones with the black font are very intentional. They had intentionally ended their life. So that's sort of like these have all sort of opened up more connections, I guess, along the way, and so now I've wanted to be looking at more of the ones that are still with us. We had watched that interview with Shia LaBeouf not long ago, and obviously, like, he's going through some of the same thing, legal issues, self-medication, and it all kind of seems to be the same pattern. They're reaching a certain age, and it's like they're going through a time of reflection for things that had happened to them in their childhood, and they're starting to reflect on everything from an adult lens, and it seems to put them into a tailspin. We've seen it happen time and time again. So I guess I think it's important that we can highlight these people that are struggling right now and be able to change the conversation around that, like with Shia LaBeouf, for an example, and with Zachary Ty Bryant, and anybody else going through it, like with how Victoria Jones was, because I feel like, when it does start getting very erratic and very unpredictable, and seems like they're having like a meltdown or a breakdown or whatever, like, this is where they're obviously in a delicate time. They're struggling, they're having a hard time reconciling with whatever may have happened to them, and if you've been following the videos, like the Lucas Berg and the iceberg, between the Buzzfield and the Riner stuff, we have sort of ended up talking a bit more about Tim Allen and his connections within this sphere. He's obviously worked a long time with Tom Hanks. They did all the Toy Stories together. And then there's a new one coming out, actually, which is kind of weird because it's just, like, I don't know. I thought it was the end. I guess everybody just thought it was the end after the last one. But they're finding a way to bring it back. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know exactly which direction to go on this. I kind of figured that we would just chit-chat, too. And just see anything else you guys have noticed over the past few weeks of anything new connecting. So we kind of went into, like, the Robert Carradine and how that was connected to the Buzzfield situation. But then there's also the Hillary Duff thing where she's having her comeback right now, which is actually so wholesome to see. I feel like that's, like, the most wholesome thing going on in the media right now. Is her doing, like, the throwback stuff and the, like, the songs from before and stuff too, or whatever, all the Disney stuff. Because, it's hard going back and looking back at all this stuff and how awful it all was, how much darkness there all was, so to be able to, like, reflect on some of the good, too, we need that. I think if ever there was a time we need that, with Miley Cyrus, too, kind of doing the throwbacks, we need that right now. Oh, thank you, Veronica. Appreciate that. Yeah, like, that's definitely, the possibility, too, of, the opportunity of it, how opportunistic it would be for him to take the fall on that. I don't know if that popped up. I don't know if it popped up in the main chat. Hold on, I'll just read it. It says, what if it was a ritual unaliving and they had recorded it, that he would be the perfect person, that Nick Riner would be the perfect person to pin it on? Just a thought. And yeah, no, that's a great thought, Veronica. Or not, it's not a great thought, but that's a good point. It's a great observation, I guess I should say. Definitely something I'd considered as well, because obviously the night before at the Conan party, they had a very public, open altercation, which that's where there's a lot more questions too, and maybe this is what he's going to be talking about in his book, because apparently he was going around and, they were emphasizing how he was making people feel uncomfortable at the party and asking them weird questions and whatever. But then after that, he seemed to be, like, making accusations at some people. There's very sparse reporting of, like, exactly what was said and what was happening, but then there was that blowout between Rob Reiner and Nick Riner, and, obviously how he was behaving that night. But I guess he'd been asking people their names and if they were famous, and then, just acting really, like, standoffish and really, like, that he didn't want to be there, which I'm sure he didn't. They had basically forced him there because I guess he's been having the mental health issues, and they didn't want to leave him home alone that night. So they brought him to this party, but obviously he didn't want to go to the party. And, I don't know, like, it seemed to me, like, okay, obviously you guys know, well, if you've been following since the get-go, I don't know, there is some new folks joining us, you might not know, but right from the get-go, I've been saying that it felt very much like a very, Menendez brothers situation, but then also kind of like Donnie Darko a bit, especially because of, their whole campaign, the I Am Your Child campaign, of Rob and all his friends and political people and everybody that was aligned back then, going into the whole, like, how to parent your kid, and how if you have a bad childhood, that you're going to commit violent crimes, or just, commit robberies or whatever, or you're going to be teen pregnancy or have drug issues or whatever, all these issues, every issue that known to man can be blamed on having a bad childhood or whatever. The one quote especially, like, that I've been highlighting was that Rob Reiner had said, "Everyone in jail for a violent crime had a nightmare childhood." So between that's a little Donnie Darko, where it's like, you got some dark crimes going on. You're on the surface, you're going around, like you're this prized parent, but then obviously now we've got this situation that highlights that perhaps something really bad was happening that had led to the issues he was having throughout his life. He was having mental health and issues with self-medication throughout his teens and going into his adulthood, right? So, and then this. So, I've been saying that from the get-go. So, but there was the crime of opportunity, that because he made it such a public thing at the Conan party, and because there was such a big rift, and he had the problems with addictions and mental health throughout the time, that if somebody had it out for Rob and his wife, that after that big blowout, and when they left and they went home, and Nick went wherever he went before finally checking into the hotel, that would be a perfect crime of opportunity. And it would be, from right off the bat, and before we even knew it was Nick, I had said, like, it has to be somebody close to them, because who's getting into that property and getting that close to them without alerting anybody, without security, without, there any, tripping any alarms or anything like that, right? So we already had known it was going to be somebody close to the family, or that had access to the family and the household. So I guess it just made sense when Nick became the prime suspect. But yeah, no, that's there is a lot more going on here, and I think that hopefully, I don't know, hopefully he's able to shed some more light on it, because this is kind of what I've been trying to do here. Is, like, on one hand, I had started the Reiner series, like the Goodnight Daddy Dearest, and I do want to circle back to that now that we've got the first preliminary trials out of the way, and then the next trial is coming up on the 29th, April 29th. So I do want to circle back and get the next episode of that, but I've kind of just started going off into this sphere of, like, from what I already had known prior to the Reiner thing, because as most of you guys know, I had just written that TW Theory article in early November, and one of the more disturbing examples of that theory was the Stand By Me, with Rob Reiner's Stand By Me, and with River Phoenix having passed away, and that whole situation. But just seeing these the imagery and the comparisons between convicted predator material, movies, films, that the director had been a convicted predator, versus these revered films like with Stand By Me, and how there was some imagery that's very similar, and what that might suggest. And then, it is a developing theory, so there's more to it. I'm going to be adding more to it as I go too, and I don't know, we're figuring it out as we go here. But as I've been doing that, as I've been going around into that sphere and figuring out who was connected to what, and, the different accusations over the years, and, following that trail of this red brick road, it's starting to kind of, I think we already know. I think we already know what the big secrets are. I think we already know who some of the major players are and how they're connected, and why. And, I think it's the only thing that really makes sense when you consider how many untimely deaths and how much suspicious, mysterious stuff has happened over the years that just didn't seem to have any explanation, or it was just such this tragic thing, like, all these people passing away so young, and it's like they have their whole life ahead of them, like, why would they take the risk? And, it just seemed like this Hollywood tragedy. But it gets to the point of, like, how many dozens of tragedies, and from a certain era, it seems very within a certain era of time, that a lot of these, like, all of these red dots, if you guys haven't been following, all of these red dots on here are, for the most part, the majority of them are people under 30 that had accidentally or on purpose taken their lives. And when you start making connections and the repeat names that show up, like with what Bug Hall has connected me to by going through and from the clues he gave in his testimony, and then connecting that with certain people, like, this is how this map's coming together, is between testimonies, people talking about it, like, obviously, like Elijah Wood and Corey Feldman, different people have been talking about it over the years, and so then you start to think, okay, well, who did you work with? Who was in that sphere at the time? We're sort of like process of elimination, sort of figuring out who and what some of the bad people and places and things are. Some of the movies that already kind of were screaming a problem, like the TW Theory movies, and who they connect to. So, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I feel like seeing the fact that people are still cutting up some of these youths, or I guess they're not youths anymore. Zachary Ty Bryant's not a kid anymore, but he is still young in life, and to be seeing them struggle, and how the conversation around it is still just like, oh, they're a spoiled former child star, they're just fucking up, they have an addiction problem, they're this, they're that, and just the whole conversation around it needs to change, because obviously there's a reason some of these kids are affected and that some of them are not, because it's not necessarily fame. They always want to say, oh, the pressures of fame got to them, or whatever, that it's something to do with the business itself, the pressures of the how in demand it is, the travel, whatever, and obviously those things are going to be stressful as well, but there's a reason that some people are able to just continue doing that and be into it, and it's all fine, and they don't ever have a problem at all, where others seem to, like, completely implode coming into adulthood. And, so I guess just continuing to talk about it and changing the discussion around it when we know how much death was around them. Like, that's the simple fact of maybe nothing happened to Zachary Ty Bryant per se directly, but when you consider how many people in his age range that were dropping dead around him in like 1 to 2 degrees of separation away from him, that alone could leave a lot of damage if he'd worked with these people, or if he was friends with them. Who knows? Like, obviously people are working together, they're colleagues, they're peers on one hand, but a lot of them were hanging out together too. They had like the Alfie Soda Pop Club where a lot of the youths would hang out. And it was like a marketing thing, but it was also like a way that all these youths would meet up and socialize. So we don't know what kind of friendships and other connections were going on, or what he'd experienced and seen. Because now when you look at all the layers, like, we have like people like Fiona Barnett and like Kathy O'Brien and and Annika Lucas, different people that have been coming out and talking about what they'd experienced and how children are harmed and trespassed upon in certain ways and to certain extremes. And when you think about it, there's those different layers. There's a hierarchy, right? So you gotta wonder that if some of these kids are brought to certain parties or certain situations, what are they witnessing? Like, some of these kids are the kids that are what are considered an expendable, but then there's kids that are being groomed or trained or programmed through whatever means and for whatever purpose. So we don't really know exactly what all these people have seen and at what level, Like, one of the things I keep looking back at, too, is with Jeanette McCurdy in her book. She talks about how when Sam and Cat was happening and Ariana Grande was starting to get really famous, but she was still just trying to keep the show, that show was her main thing, and trying to keep that going. Amidst all the craziness going on there and the abuse and whatever was going on with Dan Schneider, but that she was saying how she was jealous of Ariana because Ariana had gone to Tom Hanks' house to play charades, and like she's going off and having this big career where Jeanette's sitting there like basically in a burning house of the show burning to the ground. Like the show is kind of on its way out as Ariana's kind of pushing it aside and going off to do her career. But you got to think about it as, well, what was Ariana having to go through and having to witness, or what was going on there at Tom Hanks' house that allowed her to reach that upper echelon that is now obviously very clearly affecting her in a very big way, like breaking down in tears just in interviews and stuff. Like, people want to make fun of her and they want to talk about how she's just like weird, or she's this or she's that, or what, you know, what's wrong with her weight, or what's wrong with this stuff. Well, we don't know what happened to her. We do know she's been going through EDMR therapy and things like that, which suggests complex trauma, but we don't really know what happened to her. And you've got one kid will be looking at another kid with jealousy, like wishing they had what they had or had the opportunities, but we don't know what that person's going through at the time in order to obtain those opportunities, you know? So what is the different layers down through, and where does it go from being like the Diddy situation, like a Diddy party situation, to there being harm, like real harm happening to kids, right? And that's something I'm going to end up going into a little deeper very soon. The next video, I have it already queued up for tomorrow, the premiere for the next Lucasburg video. And then that's sort of going to be starting to segue us into this region here, where we do start going into the Red Rooms situation of it all, where, you know, we've got people, obviously there's the people that have an interest in kids, and that already is a problem all on its own, and then you have the different layers of that, the hierarchy of that, of you know, with the Dan Schneider and the foot stuff, and then you've got like the TW theory stuff, and it kind of goes up the line. But then you've got these people that enjoy children being harmed, like very harmed, not just a trespass, harmed by being trespassed upon, but the harm itself being more interesting to them than the trespassing activities, if you catch my drift. So there is so much more to it there, and I think that there's already a culture of that. Like when you look at some of these TW horror theory, like horror movies, where already there's the imagery, there's the stuff that's like already kind of exploiting the kid on screen, but then the putting them through traumatic sequences or having them under duress to be able to get like the most realistic response out of them, the most realistic scream. And it kind of seems like certain people have a little bit of a fetish for the kids being in those circumstances and getting that perfect fear response from them. Where even Stand By Me is an example of that, where they basically had the kids believing that they're outrunning a train, like it was an actual train coming down the tracks and they're having to outrun it, and obviously with the angles it makes it seem like the train's a lot closer than it really is, but they did actually have to run across a bridge and try to outrun a train, and that was like some real fear responses from them to get the final cut that ended up in the movie. And they'd ended up doing it a bunch of times, so they were scared, they were tired, they were, you know, Rob had ended up yelling at them, and it was a whole thing to get that perfect response, right? So there's layers of that too, of like the people that are getting a thrill from that, from putting the kids in that and then watching it, like there's degrees of that. And then how do you make that content? What kids are being used for that content, and what other kids are having to be witness to that content, because we know it exists. Like if you want to go ahead and skip ahead, if you're one of those, when you were one of those kids in school that like to read ahead, here I'll zoom in more. If you have a read into these guys and how they connect, and he's got some connections with some people in Hollywood, and it connects back to some other stuff. So I do want to start digging into that more, and how there's like the softcore side of it in some films. And then that's sort of a way that they're able to lure the clientele, so to speak. Like with where that happened, even with the foot stuff with Dan Schneider, where Ariana Grande had even said that that there was certain scenes that she didn't really realize how bad they were as a kid. She realizes more now, obviously, but at the time then, that it would go through like a series of adults to give the green light for that to be in the show, for certain scenes to be in the show, and whatever wasn't allowed to go on the television show would end up on the website for their fan club on the site. So the stuff that was too racy for television And the executives would be like, no, we can't have Ariana Grande, like, fully wrap around suckling her toes while blah, 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 blah. Like, really fucked up shit, right? So that wouldn't end up on TV, but they would put that on the website, right? So there's layers of that where you got to think of where on the front end, and like another example is this Bob Villard guy on the front end. He's doing headshots and like spreads, photo spreads, and being a manager for some of these kids. But then he's also giving them drugs and alcohol and taking pictures of them in more racy positions and like poses, and then he's selling those online to special buyers, right? Where on the front end, just being the child star is like the draw, and then he's got his websites where it's just the headshots and whatever, but then there's different layers bringing them to more harmful content, I guess you could say. So the same is what's happening, I think, with a lot of these TW Theory movies, whether they know it or not, like whether these people, these directors and producers even know that that's what they're doing, that they're enticing and attracting and appealing to a certain type of audience with some of these movies, like with North, with Stand By Me, this Radio Flyer movie, which is also a little weird. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but some of you guys have been suggesting and mentioning certain movies, and I'm like, oh yeah, that fits that. Harley Pasternak, yeah, he's on here. I still gotta fill out a lot more on the music side of things, but he is up in here. He connects in with Kanye, and he connects to Brittany Murphy and stuff too, so that's another one. I need to finish that final episode of the Brittany Murphy. But I've been trying to stay on top of just like the current, and then, you know, digging into this Riner, Buzzfield. It's turned into this whole iceberg thing, this whole mind map thing, which was not my intention, but this is just sort of where we are right now. But the Brittany Murphy, there's so many different red dots and situations that connect to her between the music industry and with like the Ashton Kutcher connections. There's a ton of stuff in there, so I needed to organize for the final episode. There's a lot to cover in that last episode, and it's been a long time coming, so I definitely want to get that done soon. And then there is a couple more episodes of the John Bonet as well. But when everything kicked off in December, like I had a timeline, I had a schedule, I had stuff like lined up so just right, and then everything kicked off in December, and my whole everything went sideways, but in a good way. Like I think that we needed to peel back the layers on all this. It's been a long time coming, right? Let me catch up with you guys here. Hold on. Yeah, Martin Short's daughter, Catherine Short, it was on the same day of Nick Riner's trial. Same with Robert Carradine. They were both on the exact same day of the trial, so that was a little weird. The roast jokes, too, yeah. Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, it is really weird. Like, and the mom was in the audience. Like, Michelle Reiner's in the audience. And actually, a few people noticed her and like, oh my god, who is that? Thinking that she's Ghislaine Maxwell. Because at the time, she looked identical, which that kind of opens up a whole other can of worms. But you got the wife, the mom in the audience. They've got two little boys at home. They got the mom in the audience, and they got Rob on stage, and they're making friggin' jokes about child harm and trespasses, generationally, between the father and son, and then just in general about how much Rob's into kids. So that's interesting. You know, and people have talked about it with some of these other people too. Like, people have been talking about it for years, but then that's the kind of stuff that gets buried. You know, media was way more easier to control before. So anyone that was saying anything bad about any of these people, they would destroy that independent outlet or that media source, or, you know, they would just bury it. Somehow it would just get buried. Like, or that person that wrote it, you know, they would smear them or whatever, right? But times are changing, and now that we're looking at it, like, and especially after this Nick thing, like, obviously that shows something was very, very wrong. Whether it was within the household wrong, or he knew there was something wrong happening around, you know, to other kids or whatever, at the hands of the dad, or even just the company, or who knows exactly. But obviously with everything we know that's been going on a long time, like, something was going to come to a head eventually. Like, there was obviously something wrong. And people like Nick would know more than what other people would know. And there was too many kids just in this one little sphere for there not to have been something fucking weird going on, you know? And we know there was weird stuff going on. We know, like, these blue dots are all people that were either accused or convicted of a crime. Like, the yellow, or sorry, not the yellow, the pink and the blues are crimes against one or the other. They're convicted or have had several accusations, like, and or are harming them. With the red is that they harmed them, and, you know, there's more to it, more layers. But when you look at how many blue dots and how many red dots, and then I have to start adding more of the pink dots, but I feel like that's always been more of the conversation, is how exploitative and how much harassment there is against young women and young girls in the industry. And the boys are kind of left behind. They're kind of forgotten about, and it's because a lot of them don't live to tell the fucking tale. You know, like the amount of, like, most of these are young men that didn't live to tell the tale, and like on purpose. Another one over here, Jonathan Brandis, was on purpose, very intentional. And then a lot of accidental, and some very suspicious, you know. I have added some of these adult ones, and I'm going to go into that a little more in this next Lucasburg episode that's coming tomorrow. I talk a little bit more about John Ritter and some of the stuff that he was connected to, and some of the people he was connected to. This Chris Petiot situation, he is a much lesser known, so much as, like, the people talk about Corey Haim, they talk about Brad Renfro, they talk about Jonathan Brandis a lot more so. But there's some that are like the forgotten ones that people don't really talk about so often, so I wanted to start talking about that and how that all fits in, because he connects into Bob Villard and that whole P3DO den as well, unfortunately. But it's like, there's so much, like, you can't ignore the patterns. There's so many repeated patterns now, and like once you start looking at it in this way, and you start connecting the dots, and you see the repeated patterns connecting to certain people in certain spheres, certain companies, like you can't ignore it. It's undeniable, right? So but yeah, no, exactly. If you give a damn about your kids, no matter the age, you don't force them to be social just because you want to go to a party. Absolutely. And I mean, I think that just goes for the industry itself. Like, if the kid doesn't want to do the fucking movie or go to that audition, just, like, let them go be a kid. That's something I end up talking about a bit in this next video with Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton talking about what he was forced into after Stand By Me, which was another TW theory. Like, they were frothing at the mouth to get that kid back in tighty whities on screen, man. It's kind of fucked up. But he really so badly didn't want to do it, and everybody pressured him because they were going to get an all expenses paid trip to Italy, and the little sister was going to get a role in the movie too, and it was going to be this whole big thing. But it ended up being this really shitty B horror movie that both kids were treated really badly, and there was inappropriate touching. There was all kinds of shit going on, which just further highlights the TW theory that what kind of people are they attracting around these kids. If, like, maybe it's not the director or the producer that sees anything weird about the kid being in the tighty whities for a scene, but if there's other people on that set that are into that kind of thing, and then they're part of the crew or they're part of the whatever in and around this kid, like, you're almost may as well be strapping meat to his neck and throw him to the wolves, you know? So I think, like, how much of a harm, like, you're raising the level of potential harm when you have kids in these movies, even if the directors and producers and all these people mean nothing by it. It's completely innocent as far as everyone's concerned. That's not the point. It's the point of the people that do make it weird. It's the point of the people looking at that, and then they start creeping on that kid. And there's several kids now that had that kind of scene in a movie, and then have reported, like with Bug Hall, reported being touched on that movie for the duration of the filming. After they kind of they sniff them out, and they see them in their little tighty whities, and it gets these people fucking, they get them weird in the brain, and they start preying on the kid. Yeah, that's the thing too, is there was all those fires in the Palisades there, and like there was some displacement, I guess you could say, but I think I thought he was living close to them, so I think he had another property like closer to the beach or whatever, because for where they were in Brentwood, I believe Billy Crystal was also like a neighbor, like where they lived, like their regular home was on that same strip. where Martin Short, too, was a neighbor. So that Kathy Short, like, they literally, Catherine Short and her siblings, and then Jake, Romy, and Nick, all used to hang out as kids. They, like, grew up together. They did birthday parties, family dinners, holidays. Like, they were close. And Catherine Short had gone on to go be, like, a social worker rather than working in the business, which seems kind of interesting to me when you have, like, a golden ticket in the business. So to go ahead and choose that specifically, too, and, like, what... apparently they were closer from out of the families, like out of the kids in the families, that they seem to have more of the bond, and that to me says that they probably were both like black sheep. And so she maybe was going to be one of the ones that was going to end up being subpoenaed or something like that, or could have been like a witness, or who knows, but that her death was quite suspicious, even more suspicious than the Victoria Jones, in my opinion. Yeah, like, he might have been rich and spoiled, like, that may be a factor here, but that still doesn't mean it's okay for your parents to abuse you. Like, oh, you have a nice house to live in, and a sprawling estate, and pool, and, you know, all the finer things in life. That doesn't give you a free pass to abuse that kid. Like, that doesn't make it any more okay to abuse a kid, right? So... regardless, what kid at 7 years old looks shell-shocked? Like, he looks like he went to Vietnam at 7 years old. Then he's got a heavy narcotics addiction issue by his early teens, in and out of rehabs 18 times, and then murders both parents, allegedly, possibly, potentially, in early adulthood. Like, obviously there's something fucked up there. So whether it was happening to him, or happening to other kids, or happening to somebody else, another vulnerable person, you know, the daughters, the other daughter, like, who knows? Who knows exactly, but obviously there was something not right happening. And then obviously for somebody that was supposedly an expert on child rearing, and had been, you know, supposed to be lecturing all these people on how to raise their own kids, well, what the fuck were you doing with your kid? Like, what was fucking going on there, you know? Pardon my language, but holy fuck. But yeah, the spoiled rich kid excuse, it is stupid. Like, yes, fine, he was rich, he had all this money, but again, like, that doesn't negate the fact, right? That doesn't make it any less or more, you know, okay to harm a kid. Like, that's almost saying that, like, kids can be bought and sold, and they cannot. That's not okay. Like, none of that's okay. Like, you abuse a kid and then you buy him Lego and that makes it okay? That's supposed to cancel it out? Like, no, that's not how it works. So the fact that people want to lean into that, you know, we're not doing it over again. Like, we had that with the Menendez brothers, which, oh, by the way, and I'm kind of like, you guys are getting a little bit of a preview, I guess, of the video tomorrow. I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give you another sneak peek here. But that Bob Villard guy, he, maybe I don't want to give it away. Maybe I won't. No, I'll let you guys wait for the video tomorrow, because there's so much more to it, and I don't want to go too deep on it right now. But there's more. There's so much more, and this guy keeps coming up. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, never mind. We're just going to leave it. But I added more about, like, the Hawaii theory. I sort of have a little bit of a theory about Hawaii. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just tell you guys, there's a Menendez brothers connection. There's a direct Menendez brothers connection. So, like, the fact that it's already felt very Menendez brothers is one thing, but Bob Villard was also following around the Menudo band. The band that Jose Menendez, the Menendez brothers' father, was partly, like, managing, was that Menudo boy band, and it was like a revolving door of 12 to 16-year-old boys, one of them being like Ricky Martin and stuff like that, so it was like a Latino band, this Menudo. So yeah, Bob Villard was following them around too, and so that's sort of a direct connection between the Hollywood stuff and the Menendez stuff. Like, not only was Jose Menendez had been accused by the Sons, but then also by some of the band members, and then they also had Bob Villard floating around there. So, like, if only to further highlight that this has been like a decades-long situation, that obviously nobody was getting it when the Menendez thing happened, even though there was so much evidence of them having been harmed and trespassed upon, and then there was other accusations from other victims from within the sphere. Like, there was so much more to it, and still those guys are sitting in jail, which is fucked up. So are we going to do that again, or are we going to actually, like, listen this time when who is more likely to be the victim, Nick, is speaking on the who, what, why, where, when, and how? You know, I think maybe we'll be able to listen a little more closely, because it's happening again. It's the same people. Like, it's part of the same sphere. It's the same fucking people. And that's what they wanted to say about the Menendez brothers, that they wanted the money and they were just these spoiled rich kids. Well, how many P3DOs do we need there to be in the sphere for these kids to maybe have a reason to have some sort of vendetta and to be, like, acting out in the way they are? Not that harm and violence and any of that's okay, but this is maybe a bit of an explanation of why people keep getting pushed to that limit, you know? Yeah, Blink Twice was sort of a... to keep wiping... scopolamine. It's scopolamine. The devil's breath. I talked about that in the Brittany Murphy. And that actually came up in the Epstein files. So, like, that's all been confirmed, too, that they use that. It's like... It's... how do you even explain it? You're very highly suggestible, and you almost seem normal. You might be a little dozy, a little dazed, a little spacey, but you can be highly suggestible and be told to do whatever, and, like, you'll literally help people rob you. Like, if they're trying to rob you, and that's the what they're using that substance for, then they, like, blow it in your face. You'll help them carry all your stuff out the front door by suggestion. You'll go to the ATM with them and take all your money and give it to them, and you'll do all this stuff to help them rob you, and the next day you have no recollection of it. So I've already been talking about that, like, for time, and, like, maybe that was part of the reason I couldn't get this friggin' Brittany Murphy series out. Like, this is probably the 5th time of trying to get it out fully finalized. Then over time, too, there's just different things being confirmed or that needed updating, and, like, now being confirmed with the Epstein files, so it's kind of worked out, I guess, that it's been a delay. And having to come back and revisit it all these times over all these years. But now that all the pushback I was having, like, now I can see why. Because there was stuff that I was talking about to do with the Diddy thing before the raids, before any of that even went down. Stuff that was coming up in the Epstein files before the Epstein file thing even came down. Like, I was already on that shit, and they were not ready for people to know. And I think even now they're not ready for people to know. Look how much delay there was even for the Epstein thing to come out, right? So, or the files to finally come out. And, like, that's just the first half. We've just seen, like, the mild part of it. There's so much more with the files that is going to come out that it's going to be bad. And if anything, it's only going to be further confirmation. Because now it's like, okay, well, we've confirmed all these theories, so now we're on to the next layer, right? Yeah, see, scopolamine, you guys know. Yeah. I should have scrolled down more a little bit. Yeah, you guys know. You guys know. It's awesome how much more knowing there is. Like, how much more people are all on the same page now. Like, the amount of this stuff I was trying to talk about years ago now and was being called so many different names. Like, crazy, conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat, all that shit. But now people just get it. It's fucking awesome. Like, this has been the greatest year of all time. As scary and fucked up and awful as it's been to be getting all this confirmations and shit, it's also... like, the best time ever. It's been the best fucking time ever. Like, just to finally get to see more people on the same page and to feel like we're actually progressing in such a way where for so many years all these people have been talking about all this stuff and spinning tires. So if nothing else, like, as fucked up as the whole situation is, like, if anything, like, Nick Reiner's kind of like the Toto from The Wizard of Oz. He's, like, pulled back the curtain, now we can see it, you know? Yeah, I don't think kids should be in the business at all. Like, and this is where I kind of, like, I'm on the, like, I'm all for AI coming in and replacing certain things. Like, we knew we needed to replace animals in movies years ago because all these animals were getting hurt or getting, like, killed or whatever for our entertainment all those years ago. And so we realized we needed to start using CGI for that. Why is that doing that to me? Hold on. This is looking weird. Let me fix this. I don't know why it's... Oh, there we go. But yeah, like, we knew better then, like, than to have all these animals being used in movies because of the harm and problems that came along with all of that. So there's no reason we can't start replacing children in films with AI. But then that opens a whole nother can of worms that, like, I don't know. It's a lot of, like, mixed feelings, to be honest. Because it would make sense. It would be a good thing to not even have to have kids in movies at all. But then what other materials could be being made once they have the mesh and the ability to make whatever kids doing whatever with AI. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think kids should be in the industry at all. I think either way, there's no way kids can consent to that, to having a job at that age. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. The I Am Your Child campaign was because they, like, prepping for the political campaign of it all, of Al Gore, and, like, that's where the connection is between Tommy, like, there's other connections too, but one of the big ones is that Tommy Lee Jones was really close with Al Gore, and Rob Reiner, Hanks, Iceberg, all these people over here, these big nodes, the bigger nodes over here, they were all in support of Al Gore in that 2000 campaign. So they were all going to galas and dinners and whatever together. So I'd already figured, like, that Victoria Jones had, at least they were acquaintances with the other kids, because they were all going to the same things at the same time, and they were all kids at the time, so they didn't really have a choice. They didn't have a choice as adults to not go to the fucking party, so probably, you know. But yeah, tomorrow, it's a kind of a bigger update, I guess, that kind of weaves a few things together. Like, it was so much information that it's just been hard to, like, separate it and know exactly how to present it in what video to connect to what, because it all connects in a way, and it's going to be like a 27,000 hour video if I'm going to just put it all together at once. Wouldn't make sense to do that. So trying to partition it and figure out what part is going to have what information and when and where and how, like, it's been a bit of a struggle, but it's sort of coming together, like, at least getting the main theories and the main power players, like, the foundation of it is making more sense. So now whatever rabbit hole I want to go down, it'll all connect back anyway, and it'll all make sense in the end. Well, that's it, right? If they could, exactly, if victims could rely on the justice system to protect them, then there wouldn't be all these kids snapping, right? Exactly. Well, that's it. Like, there's so much different layers of the exploitation and how it impacts them later. Like, even if doing the scene in the movie isn't necessarily hurting the kid and they feel okay about it and they seem to be fine, they don't necessarily know what kind of fan base it's attracting. Like, they don't realize how people are looking at it a different way. So that trauma might not necessarily harm them till, say, 10 years later, and they're getting, fan mail from somebody that's harmful, that's objectifying them or sexualizing them at a time from when they're, like, a little kid, right? Like, that's happened a ton of times. And maybe it's a little more talked about when it's happening to girls, but it happens to boys too, right? Like, it's been happening, and I guess that's where I was kind of trying to highlight more so, because most of the young men that it's happened to don't live to tell the tale. They haven't been able to make it to the other side to talk about it, where a lot of the younger women, they were sort of like the spearhead of the whole Me Too movement, but then the Me Too movement kind of left the kids behind. So it's like it's the biggest elephant in the room, and they don't want to look at it. What about Woody Allen? Well, there's that whole thing, like, because, okay, so the Martin Short, Catherine Short, they were adopted also. So there's a whole other layer of the Hollywood adoption scene that is a little bit weird, that I don't know how I feel about. I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah, that's a perfect example of why it's a little weird that they're able to just buy kids and kind of bypass the system in such a way, because they got tons of money. Like, who's going to say no, right? Yeah, like supposedly Nick's writing a tell-all, and like all the dirty details of the family and the friends of the family and all that. And like again, like I said, I can't say that the source is 100%. Like some of these news outlets, they're gonna just say what they're gonna say to get the most attention, views, whatever. So like, I don't know. I was thinking I might do an update and talk about it, like a video about just that, just to touch on it. But at the same time, like, who knows how much air they're blowing up our ass, you know, until we know for sure. I don't really like reporting on stuff like that, but if he is, I think that would be I don't know, insane for the map anyways, because if he's going to end up confirming more things for us and adding more to it in such a way, I don't know. I've already keep running into so much more data. Like the Hawaii theory I ended up looking more into that, and yeah, it just led me down so many more rabbit holes. I can't even, you know. Like at some point I need to know where one thing starts and another thing, like, or one thing ends and another thing starts, you know, because it does all go together. But to be able to put it into bite-sized chunks for you guys, I really got to be strategic, I guess, in such a way. Yeah, exactly, Red Spice. Oh, yeah. Well, so this is where we talk about the hierarchy of some of the children and what their purpose is and why. And when you have the different layers of the elite levels, and the roles that different kids are given and what they're trying to train them or groom them for. Exactly. They're more likely to, like, it's easier, I would say, maybe for them, like, I don't know, I think hurting kids in any way, shape, or form would be fucking, like, I can't imagine it for myself ever doing that. But I think that if they were having to choose, that it would be easier for them to abuse adopted kids versus blood kids. But who really knows? Because look at with Nick Riner. But then who's to say Nick Riner is even Rob Reiner's kid? I mean, he looks almost more like that hater guy, that what's his name, that one comedian. What's his first name? I can't think of his first name, but it's Hader. Last name Hader. He looks kind of more like him, and that was one of the people that he was yelling at and who seemed pretty fucking nervous after everything. Oh, Bill. I think it's Bill Hader. Yeah, Bill Hader. If you look up Bill Hader, the way Nick looked before, but then now how Nick looks, he looks a lot more like Rob. So I don't know. Who's to say? But if they're doing, you know, weird, crazy parties where there's orgies happening and all this other stuff, because maybe it's not as harmful. Maybe there's not harm happening to kids, but depending on what's going on, that these kids are growing up, like after, you know, a certain hour, these adults are all having orgies and these kids are supposed to be upstairs going to bed, but they like creep down and sneak down to come see what's going on, like kids do sometimes, and they don't realize what they're fucking walking into. Like, that's just a trauma all on its own. So who really knows what these kids experienced that would affect them, you know? You don't necessarily have to physically harm or trespass a kid to have caused mental harm, you know, emotional violence. And like, we know that there was weird stuff going on in that family with like the dad's kissing the grown fucking ass son on the mouth. Like, that's a little weird. That would cause some damage, I think, you know? But there's other weird shit going on there that we, like, normal, average people aren't doing the usual shit that they're doing. Like, you might go to a one weird party one time, and then it seems like it's time to leave because things are getting a little weird, and it's like, holy shit, I think I was just at an orgy or some shit, you know? It's like a once-in-a-lifetime situation for most people, if ever, you know? It's generally not something that it's just not on the menu. But you got to think with these sort of elites, like, they've got so much money and time and resources and, like, all these different locations and private jets, all this stuff. Like, they're going to run into shit to do. Like, they get bored, you know, I think is what it comes down to, is that there's boredom. So then they start getting freakier and freakier until there's just this weird shit happening. And then next thing you know, like, you're in too deep. But then everybody needs to have dirt on each other because nobody wants to have the secret get out or whatever, you know? Like, they can only trust each other if everyone's in on whatever the secret is, you know? And different circles are going to have different secrets. Some of them are just doing blow and, you know, whatever, and that's already pretty scandalous. Like, it's not okay, but it's not as bad as what some of the other people are doing, you know? different layers of that, different hierarchies of that, of the types of people that circle together and hang out together and what they're into, you know? Where not everybody is necessarily consuming bodily fluids and, like, you know what I mean? It's not all at that level necessarily. Like, there's different layers to that too, and different circles of people are doing different things. But then which ones are causing harm to the kids? Because I honestly couldn't care less what they're choosing to do. You know, like, you hear about Angelina Jolie and like Billy Bob Thornton drinking each other's blood and shit, and like Megan Fox or whatever, and what's his face. Like, there's people, they do weird shit like that, and it's like, you know what? As long as there's no kids harmed, I don't really give a shit what you want to do. Like, maybe get yourself tested before you're gonna do that shit with somebody. But, like, I don't know. Like, it's not for me, but you do what you're gonna do. I don't care. Do your freaky shit. I'm not gonna, you know. I think adults want to do adult things together. All the power to you, right? But when it comes to, you know, you start seeing what's going on with these kids and how they end up all whacked out. Like, why? Why are they whacked out? If they have all the resources, all the money, and all the opportunities in the world, what's going so wrong that they end up so on the other end? You know, because you'd think that, oh, growing up having all these opportunities and money and access and whatever, you'd have this wonderful life, right? Well, then why do some of them choose to not have that? Why would Catherine Short choose to go have a normal social worker, psychologist career rather than following the path of whatever? Like, and Martin Short talks about how he tried to get them into it. He wanted his kids into it, but they weren't even part of that. They're not even descendants of that. They were adopted, and they're like, yeah, I guess I'm just part of this life now. I don't know. So for her, she was like, no, I'm going to go do this whole other fucking thing because I want no part of it. But why? What's so awful about it that you wouldn't want to be a part of it when you literally have, like, the red carpet rolled out in front of your crib? Yeah, exactly. Well, this is it too. Like, you get some of these youths, they're like teenagers, late teens or whatever, 16, 17, 18. And then they're giving them drugs and alcohol, and they seem like the kids think that they have participated in a consensual thing. At the time, they think they're just part of it. That's just what everyone's doing, and they're part of it. But then as they get older and they realize so many adults and whatever, and like different parts of the situation, how fucked up it actually was, when they become an adult, like, that's when it affects them. It might not affect them right away, but they maybe don't realize how fucked up it is until later, right? That's why the thing with the statute of limitations is so fucked up, because for most of them, they don't realize until later anyway. Like, it's not till their late 20s, early 30s they're realizing. And for most of them, by then, the statute of limitations has expired, right? Oh, fuck, yeah. Don't even start me on Amanda Bynes, man. Perfect example. Perfect example. And then even still, people will make fun of it and, like, talk shit about her and, like, are judging her for whatever she's doing or not doing or how she looks right now and stuff. Like, do people consider the fact that maybe she's trying to make herself unmarketable so that people will just leave her alone? You know? They're not going to chase her down and go be a model or to be in this movie or that movie or having her do anything if she looks wild, you know? She looks a little wild. Like, she just, like, you know, she's not really putting the effort in the ways people would think that she should, you know? But maybe that's on purpose. And same with, like, yeah, with the Will Smith, Jaden Smith, that whole family situation's fucked up too. But the way Jaden Smith wears weird shit or, like, covers up his face or wears a weird hat thing that covers stuff, and people are like, what the fuck is wrong with him? They think he's a weirdo, but he's screwing with the paparazzi so they can't get a good shot of him. You know, or if they do, it's making a statement. Like that one where he was wearing a fucking house on his head on the one red carpet, and it looked like Diddy's mansion, but black. Like a black house on his head. It was kind of fucked up. But he's making a statement, right? So people don't understand some of these people. It's like they don't want to be part of it, but they don't have a choice. Like, they're born into it. What are they going to do? You're always going to be Jaden Smith. There's nothing you can do to escape that. Like, unless you get, like, extreme facial surgery and become a whole nother person, you know? Yep. And then she's harder to, like, duplicate. If they were going to try to get a stand-in to come and take over her career while she goes off and they put her into a facility somewhere or something. Like, I think that the way that she's changing her hair all the time and changing different things about her that's another thing to keep her safe, because they won't be able to just duplicate her. They won't be able to just have a stand-in or something like that and then have her disappear into some fucking facility and nobody would know any different, you know? But too many people are watching, and she's kind of like bouncing around a bit on the socials. Like, you almost don't know which one's her and which one's not. Like, she's always been very smart about that too. Like, I think people thought she was nuts, and I think she's always been very tactful and calculated in such a way, because it is a lot of danger if you try to go and be from that world and be saying things about that world, you know? Like, we watched tons of people try to come out and say stuff, and either they end up committed or they're no longer with us. Like, look at Aaron Carter, that whole Pasternak. You talk about Pasternak, that Aaron Carter situation when when Kanye was talking about Harley Pasternak and how they control the people and that whole thing. It was like that day he was saying it, he posted on Twitter, and Aaron Carter tweeted at him like, "Hey man, let's talk." And then like that night, Aaron Carter was dead. So, and like he had been coming out and saying stuff about stuff that happened to him as a kid, and like how they had tried to put him up to saying something that Michael Jackson had done stuff to him, but he never did. So he was talking about that, how they were trying to set him up, and some people took the money and some people didn't. Like, he was going into that. Just the whole thing. He was being very forthcoming and very open and honest and going on all these podcasts and stuff. And I think that was a threat to somebody. I don't know who exactly, like, because he was saying a lot of different things about a lot of different people, but yeah, it could be too, Diana. Like, he's fucked up. Like, this house is not a home kind of thing. Like, my home life is fucked. Like, there's some different stuff he could be trying to say as a statement. But this is what you get with different artists. They're going to have a different way of expressing themselves. And maybe it means many things. Like, multiple truths could be happening simultaneously, right? Yeah, that could be too, Lorene, sorry. It could be. She just could be, like, chemically lobotomized, like, just had her on so many different medications over the years that maybe she is totally out of it, and it's not an act, and it's not, you know, that she's trying to be unmarketable. It is that that she just is unmarketable, you know. That's also possible, but I want to believe that she has enough wherewithal and enough togetherness that she's being able to do more of what she wants to do, and she's not totally fucking total lost cause, you know. Which I gotta fill out more of this too, because there were so many predators in and around here. There's so much more going on over here too, that it's all part of it. But I want to believe, like, that she, you know, she did that art show not long ago, and she was going to cosmetology school and whatever else. Like, there was, you know, it seems like she's taking strides to try to reclaim her life. So I want to believe, like, that that's her, and that, you know, that she's more okay than not. But it is really sad, because, like, she would have been such a great comedian. Like, the female comedians we have right now, man, holy crap. Like, maybe it's a stereotype, but it's in some ways it's fucking true. Like that Amy Schumer, and, you know, maybe I don't want to just say, I'm not going to just sit and shit talk people or whatever, but she is not funny. I feel like Amanda Bynes would have been 1,000 times funnier. Like, way more of a delight. You know, we got Amy Schumer makes jokes about people's dead friends, like, 2 months after the fucking friend dies on a fucking show. After that, well, I don't know, that was several years ago. I can't remember exactly the whole thing, but I was like, I don't like her. That's rude. Like, you can't do that. That's not okay, you know. I just didn't like her. I didn't like her form of comedy. But, like, we could have so many really good female comedians, I feel like, but the reason we don't is because they're fucking destroyed. They destroy them. They treat them fucking, they objectify them, and just do weird things to them. Like, I don't know. But it happens to the young boys, too, so, I mean, it's not really a gender thing anymore. Like, we have to be changing the conversation around that too, because almost, if anything, it almost seems like some of the young men are being abused more than young girls, because it's like they've got the gay guys, the straight women, and then the girls their age, and, like, there's a lot of layers there, where I feel like, I don't know, because then you've got, like, there's so many teachers, like, what has it been, like 25 teachers just this month abusing young boy students. and New York Post just cannot get the wording right. They're like, yeah, they had a relationship, or they had this, or, oh, they bedded him. Like, no, this is statutory rape. It's statutory rape. There's no other fucking words for it. It is not a relationship. If the kid is fucking 12 years old and it's their teacher, that is not a relationship. No. Like, not even close. Like, the kids cannot consent, so that's just fucked. Oh yeah. Well, not naked. He was had his shirt off though. Moses Arias or whatever, and he was like 21 and she was 13, and they were on a bed and he was like laid back on the bed or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know the one you're talking about. And it still wasn't okay, like, because it kind of seemed like they were sort of putting them together, like in a relationship. Still wasn't okay, but no, he wasn't naked. He just, yeah, was topless. But yeah, the way they're wording it is so fucked up. They kept changing it. Like, everybody in the comments is saying shit about it. Like, it's not that. It's a rape. Or, no, they're abusing the kids. And so they keep changing it. But it's, like, almost making it worse. It's like, can you not spell statutory? Or, like, what's the problem here? So that's been a situation. It's definitely, like, it's not a gendered thing. I think there's predators everywhere, and it's in a lot of cases it's like the person you least suspect. Like, look at what was it, like Eddie Furlong? If you watch that video, that's one of those ones where people kind of just brush it off like it's okay, but literally he was like 13, and the tutor was like 26 at the time, and she groomed him and ended up having to move in when he was 16, and they were in a relationship. Like, technically, like, they were claiming it was a relationship, and he was going with it. But then obviously later on he's like, okay, well, that was fucked up. You know, 13 or 16-year-old moving in with a 29-year-old, like, that's fucked up. That's super fucked up. And even if he thought, oh, well, he had the money and he had the fame and all this, so he made him more grown up and he had it all together and it was okay. Like, he had justified it however, in whatever way when he was young, but then later on, it's like, okay, no, that was fucked up. And that shit happens more often than not, and we don't talk about it so much when it's a young boy, because apparently that's okay, as far as our society's concerned. Yeah, New York Post called it a relationship, you know, stuff like that, a relationship, and it's not. It's your tutor, your fucking school teacher, man. Like, that's fucked up. That power dynamic there it's really messed up. Nikki Glaser, I don't like her either. She's like, they're buddies. They're buddies, Amy Schumer. And she, what was the joke she did? I forget. She said something on Twitter one time and it went off on her, and she said something to me. I think she blocked me. I think I'm blocked by her. I'll have to double check. It might have been my other Twitter, so I don't even know. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, I don't like her either. I can't remember why, but I know that her and Amy Schumer, it might have been about Amy Schumer, that she was saying something about Amy Schumer, and I was like chirping her about Amy Schumer, and then she was like, no. I don't know. I can't even remember. But yeah, I remember I don't like her either. Fuck that. Fuck her. I like Anna Faris is funny. She's cool. Brenda, what's her name? Fuck, what's her actual name? Brenda from Scary Movie, though. She's like that in real life, by the way. I had, kind of, not an acquaintance, but like witnessed her in real life, and she talks exactly how she talks in Scary Movie. It's kind of funny, like, just as a human talking. Fuck, what's her name? But she was really good in that 9 Perfect Strangers or whatever. It was her and that Melissa McCarthy or whatever, that comedian. She's funny too. And they were really good in that show, and it was a serious show. So I like when you can be like a really good comedian, but then also be a fucking super serious psychological horror type character. Love that. Love that shit. Regina Hall. Is that her name? Yeah, Regina Hall. Brenda from Scary Movie. Her name's Brenda on Scary Movie, but Regina Hall. Yeah, the way she talks is like like in the movie theater scene when she's talking about Shakespeare in love, like that's how she talks when she's talking like with the people, the makeup people and the hair people in the trailer or whatever. Is she just talks like that? It's fucking funny. She's funny. But she's good. She's a good comedian. Like, so there are good female comedians. Like, don't get me wrong. I know there's like a stereotype that there's no good. There's none of them are good, but there are good ones for sure. That chick from Bridesmaids good. She's funny too. The blonde. Like, there's definitely some good ones, but that's a win getting blocked by. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, it's been messed up. Well, the Ring Boy scandal, like, I'm going to almost have to do another part to that, because I guess there was more of those lawsuits filed, and then there's more coming out about Vince McMahon and the women in that industry, and, like, it's all the same. It's just a different setting, you know? Consider yourself fortunate, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think it was on my other account, though, so I'm not even sure. I don't know if it's on this one. I can't even... I think she was the one, because I know there was one that I had it out with. Like, I'll go chirping at people sometimes on Twitter, and I don't know why they'll even respond sometimes, because, like, especially with my Twitter, like, even before I didn't even have a huge following on Twitter, so, like, I don't know why they would even respond. Like, you've got a bigger platform, what do you care what I have to say about you, you know? Like, you really care about Amy Schumer that much, you're gonna argue with me and then block me? Alright, that's cool, whatever. Yeah, it wasn't Pink, it was Jenny McCarthy. Or Jenny, what's her face? That one ex-porn star, I think. She used to be a porn star or a Playboy lady or whatever. But yeah, on stage. And then he even said, I feel violated. And everybody laughed, right? Like, same with when Jonathan Brandis on Conan O'Brien, of course. Speaking of Conan. But Jonathan Brandis, there's that clip of him talking on Conan about how he felt violated because Rodney Dangerfield was exposing himself while they were running lines for that Ladybugs movie or whatever. They were practicing lines or rehearsing or whatever, and he'd be sitting there in a fucking robe with his stuff hanging out, and he was like, yeah, I was traumatized. And then, like, everybody's laughing, like, it's so funny, like, oh, that Rodney Dangerfield, and that guy is fucking scary looking. Like, have you seen him with the eyes? Like, look up Rodney Dangerfield right now. Actually, I'll just fucking, one sec, I'll open it and I'll show you. Imagine him sitting in front of you with his fucking wanger hanging out, and you're just like this 15-year-old kid trying to run lines for this fucking movie that they're making you dress up like a little girl. Like, that's that whole movie. It was him being the ringer for the girls' soccer team. They wanted to win the championship, so they bring in a little boy and dress him up like a little girl. And it was... Oh, fuck. I'm trying to find a good picture here. And it was Jonathan Brandis playing the part. But yeah, imagine this fucking guy. This is Rodney Dangerfield. Imagine this guy sitting there with his fucking pecker hanging out of a robe, just, you know, beans and wieners hanging out everywhere. Like, that's gonna scar you for life. That alone. Ugh! It zoomed in. I just hovered and it zooms right in. Holy fuck. Ugh! Ugh! Okay, that's enough of that now. Anyway. Fuck. Like, yeah. Oh, Brenda Song, though. Okay, but about Brenda Song, Macaulay Culkin's wife, she was on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody hired Brian Peck, this convicted guy, this convicted predator, the one that, speaking of Amanda Bynes, but on the Amanda show, Drake and Josh came after. Brian Peck is the guy that, harmed and trespassed against Drake Bell, and after that, once he got out of jail, he got hired on to The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, that show. Oh, I gotta move more of this shit around, fuck. He ended up on that show, The Sweet Life, that she was on, that Brenda Song was on, and he was basically, not only was he the acting coach, like, behind the scenes, but he was the mirror. When she talks to the mirror and asks him how she looks or whatever, it's like a daily thing, like a mirror on the wall or whatever. That's Brian Peck that she's talking to. So, you know, because once they're convicted of touching little boys, let's definitely hire them on a show with 2 little boys. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that, Red Spice, about the samurais and stuff. That's one of the most favorite movies of that one creepy fan club group. Is Karate Kid, because of the relationship. It's not even that there's any scenes in the movie or anything necessarily sexual about it. Like, if there's not even a TW Theory scene, but they really love it because of the relationship between the guy, the mentor guy, and the kid. And they use a movie like that to groom another kid, is more so, instead of getting gratification from the... So that's another thing. I gotta add that to the TW Theory, too. I think I kind of did. I went into, like, that... I branched off to that extension of it to talk about this group. But there's not just the movies that they watch to gratify themselves that are not inherently sexual, but there's certain scenes and themes that they look for because it helps them in their grooming process. It's like they can relate to it and use it as examples to the little boy that they're trying to groom. Or just, the common themes of, like, the Tom and Huck, which I guess that kind of circles us back to the Tom and Huck, part of why I think that Jonathan Taylor Thomas is no longer... I think he kind of came back and he's working and doing some stuff now, but he dropped off for a long time. And that Tom and Huck had two people that ended up no longer with us. But the Tom and Huck being one of the themes, the common themes, Lord of the Flies, like Robinson Crusoe type stuff, like kids lost on an island somewhere. There's different themes that they latch onto that is just like part of it reinforces their belief system of that, because they're grooming them and they're like working up to it and like spoiling them or whatever, like they're buying the kids stuff and taking them to get fast food and buying them toys and taking to movies, whatever, that because there's a grooming process, that it's an act of love and not a trespass. But obviously kids cannot consent at any fucking... If anything, it makes it even more insidious, right? Oh, Aubrey Plaza, yeah, Jennifer Coolidge, oh, you want a hot dog real bad. Yeah, she's funny too. And Aubrey Plaza's funny. Aubrey Plaza's like, I don't know how to even describe her. Her kind of humor is like, I don't know. It's a special flavor. Like, it's hard to describe, but she is funny. She is really funny. The tall woman with short blonde curly hair, like a comedian. The bigger woman, because she's kind of funny too. If that's who you're talking about, I think that's who you're talking about. The actress from Scream, she was great in the movie. Are you talking about Neve Campbell? Oh, yeah, that's right, the Diddy joke. Heskey, yeah, Nikki did that's right, the Diddy joke, too. Yeah, also that. Fuck that. Fuck that chick. You're not wearing any pants. Wow. Well, okay. Yeah, Neve Campbell, she was in some weird movies, though. She was in that movie with Denise Richards, I think. That was the one. I think that was her. And that was a little bit weird. Yeah, the kids, they're not. And I feel like that's what, like, that's kind of what that video tomorrow goes into, too. Is just, like, there's that common theme of all these kids pretty much all saying the same thing. Like, that they didn't feel protected, that somebody should have been looking out for them. Nobody was looking out for them. Yeah, like, there's swingers clubs and whatever, and, like, that's totally fine, they've got, like, adult fuck clubs, and there's, like, really nice ones, too, where it's, like, fucking, people are paying hundreds of dollars to get in, so they know that there's, like, no riffraff, and there's all kinds of rules, and safety, and hygiene, and all this stuff, and you know what, fuck whatever, I don't give a shit, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Adults doing adult things, whatever, all the power to you, like I said before, but, yeah, like, you gotta have a line, there's somewhere you gotta draw a line, Jenny McCarthy is cousins with Melissa McCarthy? Really? I never knew that. Well, there you go. Small fucking world. But yeah, she seemed good. She seemed like she broke into the industry, like, very wholesomely, too. Like, the right way. Like, worked her way up. This is the word pecker that did me in. Yeah. Oh shit, hold on. The chat, like, did its thing. I gotta catch up here. Yeah, sorry guys, like traumatized you with the Rodney Dangerfield moment there. Sorry. So sorry. But now you know. Like, can you imagine how Brandis felt? How Jonathan Brandis felt? 15 years old? Poor friggin' kid. Yeah, no one famous is somebody, like, yeah. I'm starting to think that anybody on, like, the A-list anyways is, something weird there. Denise Richards' daughter and Charlie Sheen during Spin City. Did they bring her on Spin City? I think there was like a small part, but she brought her the one kid on his show, Anger Management, which also had Brian Peck on it. By the way, that's in the Charlie Sheen video if you guys want to check that out sometime. But he fought to keep him on that show on Anger Management, the show he did after 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen. He's basically said that if they don't keep him on because they found out about his past and like then there was going to be kids on the show and stuff and they were bringing his kids, his own kids on the fucking set. But they found out Brian Peck had a history, the studio, and basically Charlie Sheen said he would just implode the production if he wasn't allowed to keep Brian Peck. So they're good buddies. They go way back. And he has a connection to Bob Villard also. And then, like, Brock Pierce was one of Bob Villard's favorites, and Brock Pierce played the younger version of Charlie Sheen's brother in the Mighty Ducks movies, and, like, it all fucking connects in such a way. Which, like, the Francis Ford Coppola Apocalypse Now situation for Charlie Sheen, like, I don't think that, like, I think that at some point Charlie Sheen was also a victim in such a way. I think that he was overexposed, and that the people around, the adults around at the time, were doing a lot of fucked up shit, too. But that's like a whole deep rabbit hole. That's a whole fucking thing all on its own. So, but there's the video. You guys can check out the video if you want to know more about that. And then we've kind of been touching on it more recently with the Corey Haim and talking about Corey Feldman. And I'm going to probably do a follow-up on the Feldman thing too, because obviously I now feel a little differently. If you watch the other videos, the previous videos, I think it was the last one, I feel differently. Or the last couple. I might have mentioned it in the other one too, actually. Because it's disappointing. I'm pretty disappointed in the Feldman thing for where he stands on it. After literally admitting that he does believe that it was on the verge of homoerotic, that Stand By Me would appeal to pervy old people, that it was, like, harm material in such a way, but then he's, like, gung-ho about supporting the 40th anniversary, and then he blocked me. He blocked me because I was like, well, it's hard to be excited about the 40th anniversary of Stand By Me when you think about Nick Riner and River Phoenix. Like, because there's more layers to it now that the Nick Riner thing happened. Like, we should maybe go back and think about fucking what happened with River Phoenix here, you know? So I'd said something like that about River Phoenix and Nick Riner. And we'd had a number of interactions back and forth that were pretty positive. And he was, like, agreeing with me. Like, yeah, this is weird. That this is whatever. Like, he was agreeing. When in reference to Stand By Me, but then it comes down to he wants to be part of the 40th anniversary fucking tour or whatever, and yeah. So then I did some more digging on him because I like literally was defending him like a time or two ago of the one of the other live streams, one of the other Mind Map live streams, and I was defending Feldman because I know he wasn't perfect and I knew he'd made mistakes over time, but for where he stood as a whistleblower, I felt that he was valuable to that sphere, anyways, to that part of it. But looking into it more, I went back and watched the two Coreys, and I watched his new movie, his documentary, that I didn't even know existed till more recently, and I think he's been trying to bury it because it's very revealing, but I watched all of it, and I have a fuckload of notes. I made notes anyway. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it or not. I probably should. Because I took note of a bunch of stuff, and some stuff that's relevant to now, that was said to him, and like, I don't think Corey is a good person. I don't think Feldman's a good guy. I don't think he was ever a good friend. And I think that it's interesting that he had chosen to go gung-ho for Corey Haim, but would not have that same energy for River Phoenix if it was about protecting all the kids in the industry. Like, I think that that says something. That says something, you know? So maybe I'm going to do a video about that too. I got so many fucking things on the go that I don't want to piled too many things on. But then I was trying to take a break. I'm like promising myself I'm gonna actually take a real break and not do any work things, like just actually just sit and chill and like not be reading about anything, not be doing anything to do with this stuff. And then I ended up watching the two Corys and got sucked into that, and yeah, went from there. So it kind of ended up being a work thing, but whatever. Here we are. Can't unsee that. Yeah, sorry guys. Oh yeah, I've seen about that, the Aaron Taylor Johnson or whatever. Yeah, that's a little weird too. That's the ones though that they like went off to do like homesteading, and they've been married a long time though, haven't they? If that's them. Which that's like best case scenario. Like it almost never happens like that. But at least it turned out wholesome, you know? Yeah, like there's stuff coming out now about the home improvement and how he was to the kids and just different stuff that was going on, that it was just like there was a conspiracy of silence of it because it was just so normalized and it was so whatever, like either you go with it or they're going to replace you, you know. There's more coming out about that now too, you know. So I think I kind of want to dig into that a little more. Cuz like that other kid too, the what's his name? Taryn, hold on. I have some windows open. We can switch over. Actually, one sec. I did kind of have a presentation a little bit to do with the thing. Because there was a crossover sort of too where they had done work with, like, Bug Hall's mother had opened an acting school later, like at some point, and she was like making connections for other kids, and there was a picture of Bug Hall and his little brother and then all the kids from the home improvement set together. So I don't know what that crossover was about, but I don't think that she would have been any authority to protect kids when we know that stuff happened to Bug Hall. But yeah, like he kind of dropped off. Jonathan Taylor Thomas kind of dropped off. They did that show for a minute, for 4 episodes, yeah, so he barely came back. But that was kind of like a new Tim Allen type show. Some outdoor sporting goods show, almost like Home Improvement, but not. But the Tom and Huck, yeah, was with Brad Renfro. And it's a weird scene because he was like, oh, I thought you would never come back. We thought you were gone forever. Like, I don't know, there's like a weird scene where it's like sad because now you know he's not with us anymore. It changes things, right? And then Zachary Ty Bryant having all these issues right now, like on and on and on. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, yes, you can. Okay. Where's the other kid? Here he is. This Taron Noah Smith, though, he kind of just dropped right off, too. Like, very much dropped off. That was basically, like, the only thing. He needed, like, the Choice Awards. Some of the Choice Awards. A couple things. But he dropped right off. And, like, Seventh Heaven, that guy was a weirdo. That Stephen Collins guy, he was a fucking weirdo. So it was one episode or whatever, but that guy ended up getting in trouble. He ended up admitting to it. He ended up coming out and saying it. Actually, I have it here. One sec. He is on the map, too. He was a weirdo. Like, there was a lot of people on those shows back then that were freaking weirdos. Like, these kids, wholesome kid shows. The Seventh Heaven, this freaking guy. He's so wholesome. Oh, yeah, and that was Spelling TV. That guy is weird, too. Aaron Spelling. There's something going on there. I don't know yet. I don't know what yet. Got theories. Got some different theories on different things. Kind of figuring it out as we go. But yeah, I find it interesting when they don't work at all after, because for a lot of these kids, it's not for a lack of talent. I think they choose to not. They're choosing to not continue on, you know? They say anything about it on here? I don't know. I guess I wasn't too much prepared. I guess I just had like the windows open and ready for if we were going to talk about it, what we were going to talk about. Kind of just mainly was going to get on and talk with you guys though, and we've done that successfully, I think, so far. It's all going to come up in a video anyway. I've kind of touched on this thing in a video already, but I do want to go deeper into it because the Toy Stories coming out, and the different things about Toy Story that I had connected up, being that the first one having that fun house in the Mason Theater or whatever, the Freemason Temple, and then Buena Vista Pictures and whatever, Walt Disney or whatever company had done the first one had bought out the Freemason place, and then now they have it connected to the theater where they do the premiere every time. So there's something weird with the Toy Story, and then obviously with Tom Hanks. And then there's the new one coming out. So I don't know. It sucks because some of these, like that Santa Claus, I liked that when I was a kid too. Like it's basically ruining every fucking movie, every show, every movie, everything I ever enjoyed as a kid has been destroyed. So I'm sorry that it also, I guess it's ruining everyone's childhood. People are like, oh, this is ruining my childhood, but just trust me, it's also very much decimating mine as I go to. So it is what it is. I guess we can flip back over. That was a pretty good session anyway. I think we covered a good amount of things. It's a good little catch-up session. I do want to get back in the swing of doing these a little more often again, though, so then when I am adding a new section or I am digging into a certain thing, then like we'll cover it as I'm going into it. But now that I'm just about done this other side mission and I'm going to start being able to get caught up on the main videos I've been working on, things will all come together eventually. It'll all make sense. Mariska Hargitay, I love her, but I don't know now. I don't know. I loved her for so long, or like I loved that show when I was a kid, but it kind of got weird later. But I loved it growing up, and I love Mariska, fucking Olivia Benson, all day, loved her. But I don't know, that show got weird too. There's some weird stuff, and like there was a lot of people had like their early roles on that show. Like almost everybody's been on that show. So I don't know what to feel about it. But her whole lore is insane. Like her mom was Jane Mansfield, which was like she was kind of like the knockoff Marilyn Monroe, which actually I think came before Marilyn Monroe, but they were like very at the same time, but then Marilyn ended up her career took right off. Saw that as a young person. Remember when Phoenix River did the Lifetime of Jimmy Reardon? And I wanted to walk out of that movie. I don't remember that one. But I believe it's like some of the movies, like, and people felt weird about it then, but then it's like a lot of people were made to feel weird for feeling weird about it. Sorry, just trying to catch up with you guys here. Yeah. And maybe not necessarily by their fathers, but their father's friends or just people around for the party scenes that were going on. Because, yeah, with Kiefer Sutherland is in a lot of stuff that connects to a lot of red dots. But I don't necessarily think that means anything about him per se, because I think, like that's the other hierarchy too, is where you've grown up in the industry and where, like, what level you're already at when you're born, and then having to live up to that, I think, is hard in a way. Like, there's a different layer of trauma almost to that. Yeah, I wonder how many... Well, yeah, so many. Well, there's, like, those hundreds of friggin' lawsuits happening right now with Diddy, but they were able to get them sealed, so nobody can hear anything about what's going on with it. But that was all the stuff to do with the kids and stuff, too. So people are just, like, never gonna know the full truth. Yeah, Jane Mansfield, there is supposedly a thing about Crowley and Anton LaVey, like she was playing them against each other or some shit. I don't know. There was some weird stuff with that too, yeah. Oh, yeah, you like that one, eh? Love and Peace, Bug Hall. Bug Hall, bug like a bug, like insect. But yeah, you know, that's okay. It's a lot to keep up with sometimes. And it's a different kind of name. But he's a good dude, and he's sort of like, I was hoping to get a chance to talk to him, and because I kind of feel like I've sort of narrowed down some of the people that may have trespassed against him on Little Rascals, and that actually is coming up in the video that's premiering tomorrow. So it's great that you mentioned that. I was hoping I could get him to have a look at some things, because I think that I had narrowed it down, at least one of them. And then he kind of made a post saying, like, that he's said what he wanted to say, and da-da-da-da-da, like, he's just going to go back to his homesteading life now and whatever. But he had commented on that video, basically giving his approval, you know, that, like, for what I was kind of speculating about, him saying, like, yeah, this was good, you did a great job, like, keep doing it, or whatever. That was sort of, like, confirming a lot of the stuff in that video that was in the more of the speculative territory. Otherwise, I feel like he would have corrected it. But in further research and with further digging, and it's actually, yeah, it connects to the Chris Pettiette thing too. But you'll see that tomorrow in that video that's premiering tomorrow night. There's more to the Bug Hall story. And I feel bad though, because if there's a chance that could be that there's other people and like there's other situations enough going on that maybe justice could be served. But it's so hard because it's like, it's been so long, and chances are there's already past the statute of limitations anyway, and like, there's only so much you can do about it this far along after, you know? So, it's just too bad. But it's so brave what he did to come out and talk about it the way that he did when he did, you know, and the amount of information he gave us was like more than enough to put some pieces together, and then hopefully people will come after him and do the same, you know, so... Like, it's all inspiration for others to speak up too, right? Yeah, Anne Heche was like, you gotta think, like, did we hate her? Like, did people hate her, or were they made to hate her because she was smeared in the news and, like, she was painted a certain way, you know? It was put a certain way so that people would have a certain opinion about her, so that if and when she started talking about stuff that nobody would listen, nobody would believe her or whatever, you know? You gotta think of it that way, too. Because she went through a lot of really fucked up shit as a kid. Her story is really messed up. Which I want to do a thing on her one day. I have a whole folder for her, too. And I have her book. And I have her new one, too, actually, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I did get it. Is it Call Me Anne? Yeah. I do have it. On the shelf. She, there's a lot of connections there, too. And actually, it connects to the Brittany Murphy, too. Like, there is a lot of connections to the mysterious, like, a lot of different mysterious, suspicious situations that connect back to the Brittany Murphy thing. So, if you haven't seen those, catch up with those, because the final episode's coming soon. And I know I keep saying that, but I really mean it sooner than later. I'm trying to keep up with as much as I can, because everything seems important. Yeah, and then Donald Trump, yes. Also that, thank you, very nice. And then, yeah, okay, and in Home Alone 2, I should maybe make a note of that. I don't know if I have that. I don't know if did I add it on here? Hold on. I think I do, yeah, it's on here, and I think it does connect to him. But in Home Alone 2, his line in that movie, oops, that's not what I want, is him asking for Epstein's office, to point him in the direction of Epstein's office. That's the line. That's the line in Home Alone 2. Check it if you don't believe me. So he wants to talk about how, we weren't even friends, but like, I knew him for 15 years, he's a terrific guy. Fucking guy. But yeah, I feel like that was part of his prepping to go into politics. He had very strategically, made sure to have himself in, like, every single year he was doing a cameo in a movie. I'm just gonna resize these a bit, these are huge for no reason. He, like, every single year he was getting into some big hit movie, some teen movie, like, something that was going to be a cult classic. And I don't know if he, like, paid them to get into them, or if he just had that kind of influence, or what, because he wasn't really, like, anybody. He just, like, he owned the pageants and stuff, but he wasn't really a big deal back then, I don't think. So it's kind of weird that he was able to squeeze himself in there. So that's where, like, with the John Ritter and, like, John Candy, Robin Williams, all these people that were in and around these spheres that had a weird, suspicious death, I'm kind of, like, looking at those, giving it side-eye in a different way now, too, because, like, what the fuck was going on there? What did they know? what did they witness that they might end up talking about later that, you know, people wanted to make sure they closed up or tied off loose ends or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's obviously way into speculative territory. And you guys have heard me talk about it a bit. I've talked about in other videos and like in the earlier stages of this mind map. And that was weird because when I first started talking about that and talking about John Candy, very shortly after Catherine O'Hara died, so that fucking was a little spooky. And she connects to like Martin Short and the Riner situation, and that was after that, so that's a little bit weird too, a little bit freaky. Yeah, Anne Heche's dad was like, yeah, he was in the closet at home, but he was living very openly gay in the industry and had been driving Brooke Shields around, so there's like that crossover there. Yeah, her story is so sad. Like both of them, Brooke Shields too. I talk a little bit more about it in the video tomorrow too. Actually, speaking of, because it does all connect, right? Like there's a way that it all connects, and it shows patterns. It shows, over time, to like a repeated pattern, a historically prolonged repeated pattern. So I do touch on her tomorrow in that video tomorrow too. So it's interesting. You guys are already picking up on all those other things that are going to end up being in that video. It's good. It's good. You're in it. You're on it. You know what's up. Yeah, I saw that, Diana. That they're saying that he was taken to the hospital a few days ago or something, and that things aren't looking good for him. But yeah, Anne Heche was somebody that had been trying to say stuff a time or two, but because she had problems with mental health and with self-medication, and she had that one breakdown, like a dissociative break at one point there, that people just weren't listening. But she was trying to say stuff, for sure. For sure. Yeah, well, that would be tough. Like, Mariska Hargitay, she was brought up in a really fucked up situation. Like, her mom, the way that she died, and like the kids were in the car, and then the type of people that they would have been brought up around, and like then not having the same kind of parental reinforcement and protection. Like, I don't know, that's a whole situation. That's a whole situation. And it's hard to look at it because, yeah, like I had grown up really loving Law and Order SVU, like as a kid, which is kind of fucked up. I probably had no business watching that shit as young as I was at the time. But whatever, it is what it is. But I always thought she was like, yeah, she's the superhero because she's out there protecting kids and vulnerable people. Like, that was superhero to me, man. Like, people want to watch fucking Superman and Spider-Man and whatever, Batman, all the fucking mans. But she was the only one saving the kids, and she didn't even need to wear a cape. So, Mariska Hargitay all day. But yeah, like, with what you got to think about what the people were like, though, if what they had said about her mom was true, with who she had associated with, and like all of that. I don't know. One sec, guys. I'm gonna let my dog in. She's making a little fuss. She was very excited about Mariska Hargitay, too. It's very sad. Are you sad? I know. Can't trust any of the TV people. But yeah, we're already almost at like an hour here, so I guess we'll start wrapping her up here shortly. We're at 2 hours, I mean, sorry. Yeah, this was a good little catch up. But I guess I'll catch up with you guys too tomorrow, because I set it up as a premiere, I'm pretty sure. And if not, that's what I will be doing. But I'm pretty sure I set it up already, so it'll be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or whatever, and I'll be in the chat with you guys. And I do want to start getting back on to do lives a little more often again. There was so much information and so much stuff going on, and I just really needed to get organized and get some things caught up. And I'm trying to juggle too many different things. If I can't, some of the stuff I just have to get it. I have to just get it done, because trying to bounce it around I'll just never get anything done. So I've been really trying to figure out what can get done soonest and what makes sense for the timeline, and just trying to get a better idea of the timeline for the Hollywood's hidden curriculum and stuff too, because obviously for you guys that already pre-ordered and everything, I feel bad that I'm not sticking to the timeline that I had outlined in the thing there. So I do want to get that figured out exactly, a more accurate timeline. Yeah, it's hard to not dissociate. Like, to be honest, when certain things and certain situations and some stuff like will hit close to home too. Like, obviously, a lot of you guys know already. Like, I had a pretty messy childhood myself, and I mean, even for me, I'm still coming to terms with what necessarily was appropriate and not appropriate. You know, like new things are dawning on me all the time. Of like, oh yeah, that was kind of weird. You know. So as I'm going through some of this stuff, it's almost like therapy for me, of like figuring it out and how to feel about it. But then yeah, certain situations, certain things I'll be reading can really affect me, affect my appetite or my sleep and whatever. So I have to find a good balance that way too. And so sometimes I kind of have to juggle and pivot to different projects just to stay sane. But it's all important. It all needs to get talked about, and so I do try to just push through sometimes, even if it's like I guess even this video coming up tomorrow is something I've kind of been like mulling over certain parts of it. Of do we go in this direction right now, or do I wait, or like is this the time? Is this the right time? And do I want to go more in this direction? Like, can I go in this direction more without it affecting me too badly? You know what I mean? Like, I have to really be cognitive of that and mindful of my own sanity all the way through, you know? Yeah, you just think it's normal. Like, it's hard because it is so normalized. A lot of stuff was normalized, and it was normal on television. Like, everything we were watching, almost all the kids in the shows we were watching, we're going through something, and so that was normal for them. It was normal for us, all this stuff. And then like a lot of us, like for me anyway, I'm the generation of latchkey kids where we were kind of just on our own for the most part, and a lot of weird shit happened because it was just like the opportunities were there for it, I guess. And you almost can't blame, like in some cases it's like other older kids being weird, doing weird shit, or reintroducing you to weird shit that just never should have happened at that time, you know. And you can't really blame them because they were probably going through shit too, you know, or they were being exposed to stuff that they shouldn't have been. This thing's so off center. I don't know how that got off. So it was like, I guess when I moved everything around, that's okay. But yeah, like, and so you got to think like it's not even their fault because they thought it was normal too, right? So it's tough. I think that's just like with a lot of these kids too, these former child stars, and because they have such a unique situation, what's normalized for them is, I don't know, it's like a different flavor. But there's certain things about it that I relate to, like between the Charlie Sheen and like the Drew Barrymore, of how they were like growing up in kind of the party atmosphere and had drank young, and like I had my first beer when I was like 8 years old. Smoked my first joint at like 11, 12. You know, like had all these situations happening really, really young that isn't necessarily the norm for everyone, but that's where I can relate to some of these the child stars, right? Yeah. I guess through it, it's like we're all kind of better understanding ourselves, understanding society, understanding just how everything went so wrong for, you know, this generational trauma shit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, messy childhood club, for sure. Yeah, the grabbing the drinks after the night before after a party. I did that all the time, but then one time I drank a beer that had a butt in it, like a cigarette butt put out in it. And I would just shoot them back, right? Like I would just swing them back because you want to try to drink as many as you can before somebody catches you. Once you're up making noise, somebody's gonna wake up, right? But yeah, I drank one and I got a big dirty cigarette butt in my mouth, and then so yeah, I stopped doing that for a while. But I was handed my first beer at 8 years old for passing grade 2. Good for me. Congratulations. And yeah, like by like 13, 14, I was like just partying with adults, like smoking cigarettes and joints and getting drunk and being a fucking riffraff. And that was normal though, like for where I came from and at the time, like we're talking like 20 some odd years ago now. But that was totally normal, like everybody was doing it. Like it wasn't anything abnormal at the time. But looking back, it was totally abnormal, and then the situations like a lot of us were being put in, and like the adults around the situation, and then what was happening to some of the people through that, you know, that was all fucked up in retrospect. It was all not great. This all got fucking shifted over weird. I gotta move all this around. I don't know how or why. I'm gonna fix it. It looks weird. But yeah, even just looking back at that, of like, you know, maybe that wasn't okay either. Probably not. Probably wasn't normal. But it seemed normal because it's just what was happening, right? Okay, now let's lock that so we don't move. Okay. Yeah, everything got shifted over. That's okay. It's whatever. Even the chat's kind of getting cut off. I don't know what happened. I had moved stuff around, I guess, a little bit, but I don't know. Stupid thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, and more on, I guess the foreign side of my family. My one grandpa was really fucking... I guess there was kind of violence on both sides. I don't know. But yeah, that was totally normal. Getting your ass beat for whatever reason. Yeah, my hair grows weird. Like the crown of my hair is in a weird spot because I got picked up by my hair and thrown up a hallway by my grandpa when I was like 4. I don't know. I was saying no to something. I don't remember exactly. But that was the last time I said no to my grandpa. And he like fully threw me up the fucking hallway and by my fucking hair. So like, yeah, I don't know. Like it's never grown right. But that was normal. That, we just, okay, get out of grandpa's way, you know? What do you mean? Wasn't everyone hit with a belt? Yeah. No, some of us were hit with, like, rulers and wooden spoons and random shit. Your dad punched you in the head or something, you know? Like, fuck. Some of that shit, it was so normal, you didn't really think much of it at the time. But then, yeah, looking back, it's like, wow, what a fucking weirdo. Because, like, yeah, I could never picture that. I could never put my hands on a kid like that. I could never... Like, there's so much shit that happened to me as a kid that I could never, for my own kids or anybody else's kids, you know? like some of the shit people would put on to watch, even too, of like I had no business watching that shit as a kid, but it's like they just didn't care because they're like, oh, they're not my kids, I don't give a shit, or whatever, you know. Or even just my own parents, you know, my own dad, some of the movies that he was putting on that was not at all appropriate, not even for me, let alone like the younger, anybody younger in the room, you know. Yeah. Or what's that, the saying, I brought you to this world, I can take you out. Something like that, whatever they fucking used to say. All those sayings. All those nice, wholesome, heartwarming, loving family sayings. Do they have a sibling kissing scene in Seventh Heaven? What? I don't know. They had all kinds of weird shit like that though. Like there was weird themes of different stuff, and like nobody really realized or knew anything of it because all of us kids were just like latchkey kids watching whatever was on TV, and nobody was supervising, or even if they were, they didn't care. Like, why am I watching Hellraiser at 7 years old? And like Clockwork Orange and shit like that. Like I literally had watched some of the most fucked up movies. Like one of my favorite horror movies as a little kid was the Nightmare on Elm Street series. All of them. Loved it. Loved Freddy Krueger. Still do. Don't know why. I don't know, like, love it. Like, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I mean, like, I still think that it's one of the better horror series out of the others. TV, The Great Babysitter, yep. Became a dissociating champ from those spanking circles, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, you came to the right place. We're definitely a bunch of the black sheeps and misfits, outcasts, scapegoats, whatever phrase you like, whatever you identify as, you're welcome here. That's the majority, anyways. I've found that we've all gone through something, and that's why we've kind of gravitated into this orbit here, all of us. If you don't cry, they hit harder. Yeah, well, sometimes if you are crying, they're hitting harder too. It just depended. I'll give you something to cry about. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. Yeah, some people sucked. Because looking back, like, I don't even know. Like, I cannot even fathom. I cannot ever picture ever being to that point of ever putting hands on a kid like that. I can never. So it's hard. That's the one thing that I guess is what makes it so hard to reconcile with certain childhood stuff, is knowing now as an adult, like even with drinking and doing whatever, dabbling with recreationals, whatever the excuses were that led you to hitting a kid. I've done all those things now. I've done the drinking. I've done the whatever. Still would never hit a fucking kid. Still would never fucking, like half the shit. Would never, ever. So that makes it harder because it's like, wow, man. Like, what kind of fucked up rage and fucking, the fuck is the matter with you to put your kids, and when they're that much smaller than you too, like when you're thinking about it, like when I see pictures of myself as a kid and then in comparison, like to some of the people and stuff, like it just is like, holy fuck, like how do you I don't know, I guess that's just why certain people, like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, apparently that's what the new Toy Story is about, is all the toys being like, oh no, the tech devices are taking over and now kids don't play anymore, which, it's like, I can totally get behind that though. Like, you're right, like, and there's a lot of probably really good people that put their heart and soul into these kind of movies and shit, which makes it that much harder. Because, like, I mean, at least it's like, I don't know. With some of them, it's not all of them. It's not like it's like the director, like with Victor Salva or whatever. In that instance, like, no, the Jeepers Creepers movies, no matter what you do, it's Bad News Bears. They knew he was a convicted predator. They chose to work with him. None of those people in that movie get my empathy or sympathy by any means. But then you've got movies like with like A Bug's Life and shit, and like the writer or whatever, the one guy is a fucking weirdo or whatever. But like, all those people that put their heart and soul into doing those animations and shit. Like, that's not their fault. So, it's tough. Honestly, robots aren't gonna touch the kids, so we need them, like, really soon. We need robots for everything very soon. Definitely, because I think that's the only solution. We need coaches and nannies and teachers, and anybody that works with kids should just be a robot. Probably. Because robots, like, have no... They're not going to go touching kids. And they have, like, infinite patience. They're not gonna hit a kid. They'll sit there and play blocks and read the stories and do the thing, and they're not gonna go do blow on the weekends and be a fucking weirdo. You know? They're not doing blow and trying to be in some cover band on the weekend and then taking care of your kid on the weekdays. Or whatever, you know? Yeah, there was a lot of that, too, back then. I'm noticing, yeah, with the bosom buddies. There's that one scene, too, with, there's that one clip with Tom Hanks. That's weird. But that was a theme. There's that one that, what was it called? With Patrick Swayze and, what's it called? Fuck. I can't remember. But there was a bunch of movies like that back in the day, and then they started doing it with kids, like getting the kids to dress up. And again, like, if an adult wants to do it, like, they want to go do the drag thing or whatever the fuck they want to do, I don't give a shit. Again, don't give a shit. But as long as you're not hurting kids, you know? But then now you've got these adults that are dressing up the kid for their fucking entertainment. Oh, hey, the finisher. I guess that's why they call you the finisher. You're coming right in at the end here. Finishing us off. Bringing in the chat right at the end. Well, it's good to see you. It's been a minute. It's good to see all you guys. Like, it's been like a month since I streamed last, so I'm sorry, guys. I do, like I said, I am going to try to be back on again for, on more of a regular schedule here. I'm just trying to get things sorted, trying to stay organized and get as much done and out as good as I can, as quick as I can, but without compromising the quality, you know? Wire mothers, no thanks. Well, I mean, like, in this, yeah, like, not as a mother, maybe the nanny, not as nanny, but, like, how are you ever going to have any extracurriculars for kids? You can't trust anyone. You can't trust anybody anymore. So the only way you could trust to send them to a public school or to a whatever is if it's a robot at this point, because robots don't have sexual afflictions, you know? You're listening, walking. Right on. Right on. Oh, yeah. Lurkers. All the lurkers. Just as important. Yeah, you're at the end, Cody. Sorry. Just gonna be wrapping her up probably here soon. But I'll be in the chat tomorrow in the premiere, and I am gonna be trying to do more lives again. There's a lot to sort out. And, like, yeah, I was getting kind of close to the burnout, and I needed to take, like, some actual meaningful time away. Because I'm always doing something, you know, I'm, like, not doing the thing. I'm, like, reading into something, or I'm reading a book about something, or I'm watching a thing that has to do with it. It's always, like, nonstop. I just can't not. It's because I like what I do, and I believe in it, and I'm passionate about it, you know. I feel very, like, sure in my purpose in doing it, so I like doing it. It's like, even in my spare time, that's what I'd be doing, right? But definitely, you can get closer to burnout than you know, sooner than you know, because of the mental of it, the emotional exhaustion and stuff that comes with it. But I think it's good. I think we have to, like, you know, I keep saying it, we have to tear the Band-Aid off, and we have to cleanse the wound and clear out this infection once and for all, because, like, shit, it's been a long time coming. And we're here now, you know, more people are noticing, more people are waking up. So we just gotta keep on keeping on. Yeah, well, and that's it. I am just one person, you know, and, like, if it gets to a point where, like, because obviously I don't really need that much, and as long as my bases are covered, I'm happy. But if I do get to a point I'm making enough extra that I can hire on another person to help with some stuff, I think that would probably make a big difference too. Because I do try to do pretty, like, in-depth, and, like, I try to keep it high quality as much as I can with the editing, but, you know, without actually being like, I didn't go to school for it or anything, but I think that I have enough of a grasp on it that I'm trying to lean more into the quality side of it anyway. And, with trying to use some of these new tools and stuff and get into the creativity. I've been trying to get a little more creative and make it a little more aesthetically pleasing, I guess you could say, or whatever, with the edits and stuff. But it's true. I am one person, and it can be totally taxing, like with doing the whole thing between the research and then doing the script, doing the recording, doing the whole thing. It does. No matter how much passion you have, it's still exhausting sometimes. So we'll see where it goes, where it takes us. Gotta get you talking to the, yeah. He's been mentioning me on a few things, so he's like, I don't know, he's a nice guy. I feel bad though, because I'm not as familiar with his stuff. Like I need to watch more of his stuff and get more on the same page there, because I know he's been digging into the same stuff and he's been talking about a lot of the same stuff. And from what I have seen, like I know that we're kind of on the same page when it comes to the Riner and everything. But I feel bad because it's like he's been keeping up with all my stuff and then keeps shouting me out on these different podcasts and things. And that's really awesome of him, and I feel like I'm flattered, and I appreciate. But I feel bad because I'm like, I want to shout you out too, and I want to be able to return the favor, but I'm not really as familiar of what to point to. And he's kind of like a comedian. He does his lives and whatever, so it's not necessarily as like structured. So I wouldn't even know. I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to start, But he is funny. He's got his own little comedic edge, and it's great that he's using his platform to talk about real stuff. Because I think a lot of people, it's easy for them to just have their thing and not really worry about the negative, dark, awful things in the world, But I think to be a comedian, you need to have kind of that dark humor, and for the most part, I think most comedians have some kind of trauma to an extent. It's a stream of consciousness. CIA median. You got thoughts about it, the finisher? Like, I don't know. I don't even know what to think. Like, and I did that shout out because I felt like I should say something, right? Because he keeps shouting me out and everything, and I want to say something about it, but I just don't know enough about him. But as long as he's on the same team, you know what I mean? As long as he's just as much against the harm and trespasses of children, then we're on the same team. So it's cool. Maybe we don't agree with everything, and I don't know. Like, I don't want to say anything about how, I don't want to say anything one way or the other, because I don't know. I don't know what he talks about otherwise. I don't know. I don't have an opinion. I don't have enough information to give an opinion just yet. What do you mean about he wrote for Bush? Like, he wrote jokes for Bush? There have been people offing themselves because of the... Yeah, but that's like, honestly, if it gets to the point, like, I feel like that's saying more about the people around that person. Like, if they're getting to the point that they're contemplating taking their life and discussing it with an AI agent, probably... there's probably signs. You should probably be noticing there's something wrong with your kid or with your family member, your close loved one. Like, if it's gotten to that point and you still haven't noticed, I feel like there's something wrong with that family. You know what I mean? Because it's like, the AI is going to do whatever you're telling it. And it's like, it's based on user engagement and user input and the kind of conversations it's been having with it for all that time. So if that whole time it's gone down that dark of a rabbit hole without anybody having a clue, like, I think that just shows how much people are so absorbed with their own devices and their own online shit, their own tech stuff, that they just don't notice in their own home how bad it gets, how bad it's getting. Well, I think, like, it's gone to the point because they're like, well, I don't see any other way out. Like, I feel like this is my only answer. Like, what would be the best way to do this? I don't think that it's necessarily telling them that that's what they should do. I think it's a user prompt. It's user prompted, right? Like, they're saying, like, I don't think there's any other way. So if I was going to do that, what would be the best way to do it? Like, what would be the most painless way? Or if I was going to, you know what I mean? Like, they're discussing it with the AI. The AI is not telling it. Like, the AI does not prompt humans. The humans have to prompt the AI. It's based on the human conversation with it. So you've gotten to the point of you've had all these conversations that you convince the AI that your only option basically is that, and then it's like, okay, well, here's the best way to do that, because its job is to help you with whatever your problem is, right? Like whatever your issue is, it's supposed to try to help you with that. And if you're decided that your problem, this is your problem, and that's like your solution is, I need one of the best ways to do that. And obviously they have to work out those kinks, because that's not okay. It's not good. I shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be able to have those conversations with an AI, obviously. But you got to think that that's coming in from somewhere. Like the AI is not coming out of the blue. Like, oh, you're depressed and you're sad. Well, have you considered doing that? Like, it's not telling it. It's not telling the person. The person's saying, I've thought about this. I think this is my only option, and this is why. Now give me the best ways of doing it, you know? And it's no different. Like, I'm 14. I could look up how to make a noose on the internet. And was it the internet's fault? If I had chosen to go do that, I had chosen to tie one and I knew how to. Did I choose to use it? No. I was just edgy. It was an edgy punk rock fucking teenage stupid thing to hang up on the wall. It came on, I saw a meme and I tried it. It was in a meme and it was showing you, and it was like, oh, okay. And like, that's how you do that. Interesting. You know what I mean? But so had I gone and do something with that, would that have been the meme's fault, or was that my own fault and everyone around me failing to notice that I was depressed? If that had been the, you know what I mean? Not that that's a punk rock thing to do, and not that you should do that. Not that anybody should just, like, it's probably bad that that was even on the internet, that for 14-year-olds to see. But, true story. Like, I learned that on the internet. Seeing a thing. Yeah, Tu Wong Fu, the Swayze, yes, that's what I was trying to think it from, yeah, With Love from blah, blah, blah. It's a long name, too, of the title of the movie, but that's the one. That's the one. It's Patrick Swayze. Oh, yeah, Amanda, we're just wrapping up here shortly. But I'll be on again soon, doing more lives again soon, and, like, tomorrow I'll be on, in the chat for the premiere. I do want to get back on a regular thing here. I needed a little more time, like, fully off, and been trying to just get organized, and was still kind of going through the Epstein stuff, and, like, there's just a lot going on at once right now, so I needed to, take time out from doing the lives for a little bit. But we're here, we're back, we're gonna get back on again, on a regular. But, yeah, we'll probably wrap it up here in a few minutes. It's getting a little late here now. I've been trying to start later, though, because I feel like it's better for you guys. Because I was doing, like, the 5:30 start time for a bit, because it was better for the one side of the world, but I think the 7:38 type, little bit later start time is working for more of you guys. So I think we'll stick to that more. Teenage moods too frequently aren't taken seriously. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely was having, like, a rough go. A time or two, you know, I was, depressed and stuff. Had some issues. Was definitely not going to, like, I had moments. Like, I'm not gonna get into the whole thing. I definitely had moments where I was, contemplating, thinking, trying. I did try. I have tried. I'll be honest, I have tried. I was really young, and I was struggling with childhood trauma stuff, and there's a lot going on. So, don't use that against me now, because I definitely don't want to now. So all the stuff I'm talking about, I love my life now. I love the life I built. I love that I was able to alchemize a lot of the trauma and hurt and pain into a positive thing here now, and that doing this, I feel like, is very healing and therapeutic. So I definitely don't want to now. So if anything happens, it's not me. I didn't do it. I don't even drink anymore. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything. I sit here and read my books, do my videos. So if anything happens, I didn't do it to myself. But I do, yeah, in my teenage years, there was a lot of complicated stuff going on. I think a lot of people go through weird shit in their teens, though, especially if they went through a lot of complex childhood trauma, because it's when you're kind of first starting to realize how fucked up stuff was, that first layer of how fucked up everything was. And then especially if you're getting punished for the trauma surfacing and the results of that trauma, like, you're the demon because you have trauma, or whatever. It's kind of messy. Messy childhood club, here we go. But yeah, it's great to see you there, the more you know. it's good to see some new folks coming through and being part of the chat. I'm loving like how much progress we've been able to make this last couple of years. Like the last couple of years has been more progress than the last several combined, as far as people becoming more open-minded and being able to have more trauma-informed conversations, and people having more empathy and more understanding, and it's just been great. It's been so great to see. So I'm glad to have you guys here. All you the new folks, the regular folks, the old folks, new and old, fresh. A lot of new folks rolling through, I guess, since Kurt dropped that shout out, and Jamie Lux did a little shout out. We've been doing shout outs back and forth here. I try the finisher. I'm always trying to be real and transparent with you guys. But I never want to be sitting here being like just trauma dumping on you guys either, you know. We all got enough of our own trauma. We don't need a bunch of negative stuff all the time. Yeah, like I have to be careful. Like obviously I want to be candid and transparent with you guys about certain stuff, and I want to be able to talk about more of my past and why I do what I do, and how, like why I think the things I think and whatever. But at the same time, it's like, am I giving the bad guys ammo? Like I don't want to be giving them ammo for me to just turn up dead one day. They're like, oh well, they had a history, so you know, same as anybody else. Like, oh, they had a history of this or that and the other thing, so it was bound to happen. Like, no, I've been very happy for a long time. I left the abusive home. I went off and got a job and started working young, and like I figured it out. And the further away I get from certain people, places, and things, the better it is. The happier I am. So it's been good. It's been fine. As an adult, right? But I think it's important to be able to talk about that stuff too, though. Like if you've made it out the other side in one piece, in spite of, against all odds, I think it's important to be able to talk about it. But it's so easily used against you in ways, I've seen it play out like with the Cappy thing and stuff, and I don't want to ever there be that edge to work it against me, So just so that everybody knows, like, yes, as a teen, there was some depression and there was some rough go. There was a rough go, but we're in sound mind, body, and soul. So, talking about all this stuff, I mean, I guess in a way it's almost like putting yourself a little bit in harm's way. But I would never do it to myself. I would never do my own self in. Yeah, one foot in front of the other and march on. That's a good way to put it, Whiskey Monk, for sure. Because it can always get better. I think that's the important thing, is that there is always better on the other side. And it's hard when you're like so deep in a situation, or you're living in survival mode, or you're in an abusive relationship or family situation. It can be so hard to see what's even possible on the other side. I think that's where people get, and they feel so hopeless, and they feel like there's no options, or they have nowhere to turn, or And I think that if more of us could be talking about it on the other side and be supportive and in a more inclusive and like secular way, because I feel like the only supports that there are is not inclusive to everybody. It's very either it's religious, or you've got like the 12-step groups or whatever, and that doesn't work for everybody. So I think to be able to be open and talk about, to destigmatize these kinds of conversations is important, but you just got to be careful, It's already like shit, yeah. Like it's already kind of walking a fine line when you start poking the bear in the way that I am. Like it's kind of danger zone. So, I guess I want to just make it clear. I have to keep making it clear just to be safe. Not that even makes you safe. Like Cappy was saying, he wasn't gonna do it to himself, and then sure as shit. And even like Virginia Frey or whatever, the Epstein victim, had said she wasn't gonna. So I guess it doesn't really make a difference if you tell them if you're gonna or you're not gonna. But anyway. Yeah, I think that having more of the conversation, it gives people more of the inspiration to know that there's others ways out, knowing that more people had gone through certain things and were able to make it through, and that they are living a happy life. I think is super important, because it's so hard to see like anything else on the other side, and to see that there can be happiness, that there can be joy, that you can recapture that you can liberate yourself of that, the anguish and the pain, you know, that you can turn that into a positive thing, that there are good things that can come of it, you know. Yeah, sharing the tools, sharing the yeah, what worked, what didn't work. So there's a lot of people out there just trying to figure it out because the conventional ways don't work for them, you know. One size fits all doesn't work for everybody, you know. Not everybody wants to be medicated or whatever, right? So same boat, different paddle. Yeah, I love that too. You guys are great. What a great bunch. And you guys, like, new folks keep coming through, but you guys all fit so good. Like, there's really not been any issues with anybody. Like, I love that, too. Like, I sometimes get worried where somebody will shout me out or something, and you get just, like, new wave of people, and used to be, I guess, it used to be people would suck. More people would suck. You'd get people coming through just saying dumb shit about certain things that you're trying to be as serious and empathetic and compassionate about or whatever, but it's definitely a lot better now. Like, so many more people are always just a positive addition. You know, it used to be more trolls than good people, and now it's more good people than trolls. So I'm thankful for that. Well, I'm sorry for everyone, man. Like, I'm sorry to any kids that have ever had to go through stuff. Like, all of us have an inner child that I feel sorry for. You know, like, some of us went through more than others or less, and some of it was maybe more psychological than physical and whatever. But honestly, like, trauma's trauma. And, you know, none of us deserved it. No kids deserve to go through that kind of shit. And so I don't know, if I'm going to be working towards ending the generational trauma curses here, if we can be cycle breakers and helping educate and expose and raise awareness, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing half the time here. I'm just trying to do what feels right, I guess, and what I think that might help other people and help us change as a society, help us move in the right direction here, so. But yeah, Messy Childhood Club, I like that. Or just the Misfits. We were doing Misfits Christmas for a bit there. And that would be on for the day or whatever for those that didn't have anywhere to be or, you know, or no contact with family and stuff. Like, I've been trying to do stuff like that too over the years. But whatever you guys want to call it, you know, latchkey kids unite. It's all the same, right? But yeah, you know, I'm sorry for anybody, and even adults too. I'm almost more sorry for adults trying to reconcile with that and to be more acquainted with their inner child and to be able to make good with that, because so many things, it's like it's hard to look at the good of your childhood sometimes because there's so many bad things that it'll bring up. Like, you'll have a good memory, like a good nostalgia, but then you start thinking about it and then you remember the bad thing that happened just after or whatever, and it's all tainted, right? So I think I don't know, if we just get it out there and if people can be more open and more compassionate, then I think it's just healing for all inner children. And then on the other side of that, then we have more chance of breaking that cycle for the next generation. You know, the more healing we do, the better it'll be for them. You know, and whether you got kids or not, it's the future, right? The kids are the future, and they all should count. They should all matter one way or the other, right? You should always be looking out. Just kids in your family, kids in your neighborhood, kids, like, see something, say something, you know? But anyways, yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. This is probably good. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking it out and sticking with me here, even through all the ups and downs and when I disappear for long periods of time. But I'm always working on something. It's always for a reason, I think. I think you guys know me enough by now. For those who've been around long enough. For those who are just joining us, you'll figure it out sooner than later, too. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening. If I don't catch you tomorrow on the premiere, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Yeah, we'll be, I don't know, I'll schedule another one of these soon. And I think we're going to have Obscure Nick's going to come on again. We're going to do another live session that way. And I got a couple more people I've been chatting with, and I might be, I don't know, getting on their podcasting or having them online. I don't really know. I'm kind of just coming back and getting back in the groove here, and then figuring out the schedule coming up. And I do want to make an update about the Hollywood's Hidden Curriculum and shit too, so I'm going to make a post or something about that soon. Get that out of the way, get everybody on the same page. So yeah. I guess that's that. We'll run it. We'll run the ending here. Alright, take care of yourselves, guys. This video has been brought to you by Patreon, where I post more info, resources, bonus, and uncensored content. Everything is free to all members.
Paid members just get early access, and some other features and benefits. It's mainly just a way to support the cause, stay informed with behind-the-scenes updates, and there is a public chat. I share all other news and updates outside of my body of work to the Eyes Wide Open group and over on Twitter. Everything mentioned and more can be found in the description. Lastly, make sure to like, hype, share, and subscribe.
And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Red bricks crumble under my feet, a path that whispers a cursed heartbeat. Shadows stretch long, they know my name. Every step forward, it's all